Oh, I really wish I had some sunglasses right now. This match is looking to be ramping up and looking to be as hot as a jalapeno ghost pepper. I believe that's one of the hottest ones in the world. Either way, we are finally at the end, and it is the beginning of those who wish to see those, well, one team fall. Either way, here at GitGud NA Finals of the Rookie Division, there's only one team that's going to be able to be going home, well, with a crown on their head. We have Rampaging Inferno versus Solar Flare. I know I pointed to the wrong side, but you don't need to worry about that because I'm username_Intel, and that's what I'm known for here, joined by the beautiful Mr. Dividing by Zero.
Aw,
how are you
well, that's
doing?
really nice of you. I'm doing great. We casted some Valorant earlier today. It was awesome, but I can't wait to see some grand finals level Overwatch coming out from both of these squads today. Rampaging Inferno and Solar Flare, the number 1 and number 2 seeds respectively, going into the playoffs, have both had their own sort of paths to battle through and cross paths finally in the grand finals. And it's going to be a great game.
I definitely agree. Honestly, especially with these rosters and the map that we're going to be going into first, there is a lot of opportunity to see how these teams are going to go. We see how they're looking, obviously, both me and you, recognizing that Skylar player just a little bit, personal friend, no caster bias. Yeah, hey, Skylar,
Yeah, no
we know you're watching.
No bias at all, but yeah, both these teams, of course, that's a Rampaging Infernal side who have come in through the playoffs. Through the winners side, have only dropped 2 playoff maps so far. It's been 3-0s all the way through otherwise. And then meanwhile, Solar Flare dropped into the lower bracket a little bit early to the number 6 seeded Borderline Bronze to drop into losers, but then got their revenge in losers finals to come back up and get their last shot at success.
Yeah, they really need to just bring it back in. Their rosters are pretty stacked, and compared to GGEU, you know, that was a clean 4-0, so hopefully NA can finally prove that they're better. Maybe just a quick 3-0 if that's ever possible, you know? Just get that draw. It'd technically count, I'd like to believe.
I don't think it would. I think we keep going until one team has 4 map wins. I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
That's why you should give the casters the power to make the rules and not the production staff who know what they're doing. They're absolutely going crazy, especially since they allow these teams their favorite map to be chosen, Lijiang Tower, by far one of the most popular maps when it comes to Overwatch, but it seems that this is one that people want to start on.
Yeah, both teams love this map, and I am going to be looking at Solar Flare here to come out to a hot start here, no pun intended, and give us a really good fight against Rampaging Inferno. I'm really hoping that they can bring it today because these two teams actually did face against each other in round 5 of the regular season. That was an Enraging Inferno 3-0 victory. So Solar Flare, I really hope they can come out early, get that first map win on the board, know that we can hang with these guys, and then who knows where we could go from there.
I think there's a lot of opportunities to kind of show yourself up, bring in that aggression. Lijiang Tower is one of those maps that I definitely feel you're not going to get an instant read on how the enemy team is doing. I think this is just a momentum base. It's kind of like letting the batter, just walk for free to hit that first base, because then the next map is going to be somebody's biggest weakness. Whatever baseball assumption, I'm an e-gamer. I don't really know what's going on. Either way, to see both of these teams kind of walk out, I'm more interested to see what ideas they may try to run.
Yeah, we're going to be starting off on Control Center here, which means it's time for some Reinhardt, Hybrid, and Pyro Dragon going to be locking it in respectively. Though I'm very curious to see if Dash is going to stick onto this Sigma. It means you don't have the defense matrix, but you will have the extra shield to really sync up some damage, and that's going to be really important when you have Tikito and Pulse on both sides with the Junkrats.
Yeah, they're already getting themselves set up, and more than anything, they're already getting ready to start brawling out as both Symmetra's looking to do as much damage as possible to the shield. It just seems that the Sigma is able to help out a lot more as Pulse is able to blink in that damage, and then Blink themselves is going to be able to finish off Pyro. The rest of them are now going to be falling slowly behind as they no longer can continue moving forward, and Blink is just able to slowly break them down.
Yeah, it's all about speed when it comes to these compositions. Raging Inferno gets there just a little bit faster, and that allows them to take the space in the White Room and get themselves the first point control. So Raging Inferno, they're going to score the first points of this matchup. and Solar Flare is now up to them to respond. Look at the shatter differences, though. Almost 80% to about 20 in Hybrid's favor.
Hybrid already being able to take out TikTok. That means there's no Junkrat fear to be slowing them down, especially with the Baptiste and the rest of the team slowly falling out. It just seems Solar Flare are not going to be able to do anything to save themselves.
And, I mean, I hate to be making this narrative so early, but to have 40% to shatter in 2 fights is really bad for Pyro Dragon. It shows that he's getting in, holding up his shield, and dying. That's about all that he's done so far, and Solar Flare really needs to be able to find an opportunity to use this damage to get past. But with Roji Fizzy going down, that's not good.
I definitely agree. Blink is able to immediately find out Fro, and somehow TipCon is able to not only get a boop kill, most likely just with the ability, but then finish off their own counterpart, forcing this fight to reset. And now their whole economy on the side of Solar Flare is getting lesser because they're basically using these ultimates but getting nothing.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't used very much yet. They're just about getting up to just about everything. And actually, Blink getting taken down early is a good start, but finally the shatter from Hybrid comes out and finds 3.
Yeah, look at that. Already the advantage swinging back to 1nferno, who lost her Symmetra very early. However, with this wall from Pillarman and Sound Barrier from Swirl, it's being countered back by TipCon. The issue comes that they don't really have a team to be able to help themselves, and as I said before, they're using ultimates but getting nothing out of it. That's why their whole economy resets, and that's why I said it when they use no abilities. It's kind of almost like a mind read, as it just seems Solar Flare, I don't think they're going to be having anybody touch this point, as they're basically just now resetting, immediately getting rocked, and Rampaging Inferno already setting up the momentum.
Yeah, that was not particularly close. Rampaging Inferno, they got out to an early lead there, win the first fight, and they never gave up that ultimate advantage that it gave them, just snowballed them to a very quick first round win. Now, though, we head over to Night Market, so the meta is a little more fluid here. You can go on to other things if you want. You don't have to go on Reinhardt-based compositions, so we're already seeing quite a few changes potentially coming out of Solar Flare. I'm not sure if this is what they're going to stick with. The Rhine Winston compositions isn't unheard of, but it's definitely uncommon. Yeah, it looks like they're going to walk out on this. So this is really interesting here. You're going to be looking to run really fast. It's kind of like a 6-man rush composition, but without the...
Not Skylar, the one person you should have been going for, and you managed to find it out. Now the rest of the team slowly collapsing under Solar Flare, being able to get the first initial picks. However, it seems that they are not being able to finish out. Not only is the Diva getting that 3K, but just with Lucio healing alone, they managed to bring that back. That is so rare to see.
Yeah, Pillarman did everything that he possibly could in that battle, but it just wasn't enough when you have just the entirety of the Rampaging Inferno roster. I feel like Solar Flare got a little bit scattered when they got those first picks, and they weren't sure what to do afterwards.
Now they're looking to just try to go through that teleporter, but it seemed like a bait. Not everybody is going through it. Hybrid has his shatters, looking to set it up, but they... well, more of Solar Flare look to be just taking this angle. They're moving all around. That Doomp is going to be able to take out TipCon and block out. Now with this Coalescence, they have nothing to fear. They're being able to pump in that damage. Though Skylar being able to get the trade onto Pillarman. That bomb allowing just a quick reset, and everybody on the side of Solar Flare, they're entirely split. They're no longer together, and as they move in, using that teleporter for an advantage, the shatter going into the shield, they still manage to find out J-Wall, though the Hybrid being gone from this fight now means that they are finally going to be able to just walk in without a whirring hammer punching them directly in the face. There's really only 2 Swishies and Tibib, but Tibib is kind of the last person there, and well, they're not going to be having much. Just a quick reset, and now Solar Flare have the momentum to be able to push.
Yeah, the starts are really great for Solar Flare, actually, because Rampaging Inferno, someone thought that they had a chance to win that fight, so they blew just about every ultimate at their disposal to try and get themselves back into that one, which means they're going to be coming in now with pretty much just the beat from TipCon, playing into the Meteor Strike, the Photon Barrier, the Earth Shatter, and probably the beat, too.
Man, now at least they have a good amount of ultimates to be able to set themselves up for some victory. Pillarman already looking to collapse on top of them. Gets that beautiful slam combined with the dunk, and they're taking Skylar back to Dunkin' Donuts. But that shatter, able to hit Raging Inferno. They have nothing left to do. aside from just kind of respawn, maybe set up a plan, those ultimates were used, and they were used successfully.
Yeah, great stuff. You get the beat out from TibCon, and you don't have to use your own beat in response. That's beautiful stuff for Solar Flare. So now they're going to be able to take the lead in percentage points, and they have both support ultimates at their disposal, and possibly even the Diva Bomb. Rampaging Inferno, though, they're probably getting up really close to this DPS ult, so that's going to be big.
Yep, they're now setting themselves, wanting to push forward into Raging Inferno with this Coalescence, and that teleporter coming out a little bit too late. They're not going to be able to get any room to just survive. That passive play is not going to work well when Solar Flare's just walking into you.
That's about as good as it gets there from Solar Flare. You only use the Coalescence, and you win based off of that Coalescence. That could have been a very dangerous fight that got rid of a lot of their ult banks, but it ends up being a very cheap fight, and they can come in with 3, maybe even 4 ultimates for what is going to be last fight territory here. Rampaging Inferno, though, Photon Barrier, Pulse Bomb, Eva Bomb, and Shatter, and Ant Matrix coming up soon.
Yep, they look to place that Pulse Bomb. It's going to get stuck onto the shield, but Solar Flare, they want to use every ultimate. They feel threatened. They managed to pop out the Shatter on the side of Hybrid. However, you are just being pushed around, not getting too much healing. Your wall's able to protect you for a little bit longer while you trade onto Pyro. That seems to be more than enough because without their tank, they don't have anybody to lead them. So they'll just follow them back to spawn.
Yeah, so Rampaging Inferno, they managed to take the point back here, but it took just about everything that they had. You really don't have any ultimates coming up, and Solar Flare, they are looking dangerous now. You've got the Earth Shatter, the Meteor Strike, and the Photon Barrier up once again. It seems like those sort of rule of threes seems true when it comes to that, and Rampaging Inferno, they really don't have anything that's going to be able to deal with it, at least in ultimates-wise. It's just got to be some really good play out here coming out from Pyro Dragon to block out this damage.
Yep, they're trying to push inside this microwave, though. Pyro already takes a lot of damage. Pillarman able to find out pulls with the initial punch. However, that's a massive trade going out right now. They have to just pull in the DPS talent, so Pillarman able to go in for that punch. A little bit of a miss. That bomb's out there. We see them not actually fall, but that small little jab able to make the difference when it comes to the holding out. Now Rampaging Inferno no longer have a team to be able to contest. We're going to be seeing this switch. They do have an opportunity to be able to touch. More specifically, it's going to be Pulse onto that Tracer, getting the blink in, does immediately get uppercutted, but gets that tick, resets it, the Shatter lands down. It really isn't going to be hitting anyone, but the Sound Barrier's there to give them some room except for Pulse. Now with the counter Shatter from Hybrid, that's going to be paused as Coalescence just helping them move forward. Though this bomb is LOSing them off the point, it seems Raging Inferno are going to be collapsing under themselves as Pyro Dragon is able to put up the heat faster than any Flaming Inferno, and the rest of them are going to be going back to their spawn room because they have to get ready for the next map.
And so it will come down to Garden. Solar Flare, after what was a rough first map, they come back on Night Market, and now I'm not sure if Rampaging Inferno is going to want to stick with this. We had them, I mean, obviously you could use the Symmetra teleport to get to the point early and use that, which it might be what they're showing right now. But I feel like this map, as far as the most of any sub-map of Lijiang, is not great for brawl maps because Solar Flare is going to be able to poke in from the outside with any comp they want. However, looks like we're going to be seeing a match, so both teams are going to be using that Symmetra teleport probably get onto the point, but at the last second, Rampaging Inferno have swapped onto a Far Mercy, so we do get to see some of that long-range poke coming out.
I love me some Far Mercy. It is so oppressive at times. Solar Flare are very much going to have to fight in this. Look how they're already being onto this point. Unfortunately, though, Skylar immediately picked off, and that D-Mech, it's up to the Far to be able to put in that burst damage, but with the Immortality protecting them, Solar Flare really don't have much to truly care about. They're just staying back, denying any form of damage, and sitting perfectly fine. Do you see that reset coming in from the Baby Diva as the rest of Raging Inferno? They don't really want to kind of move in anymore.
So Rampaging Inferno don't have a Lucio, so they weren't able to get to the point before Solar Flare did. So now it's all about the poke game, trying to get in and get the damage while Solar Flare can hit, but some nice shots from Tiki Totem to take down Pulse. The res is there, but Rampaging Inferno are in full control of this fight.
And that's what I call Cassidy hit scan. We see them already move back to the point. They really wanted to try to adapt and get this fight out quick. Our Pyro Dragon is there and is immediately shutting them down. It seems that Rampaging Inferno are struggling to take any form of fight.
They are struggling. It seems like they kind of tried to run a half poke, half brawl composition, and that bit them because you don't have enough damage to win in close range, and you don't have the stability to win in long range either. So Solar Flare coming out very much ahead, but now we see the Cassidy swap from Pulse, and they're going to go into straight up brawl.
You know, we're gonna ignore that. We're gonna be seeing that D-Mech hit onto Jane. Well, while that wall splits everybody, the Symmetra on Pillarman is still able to push forward without any fear. Now Pyro Dragon with this Shatter is looking to make this play, able to get a shield up of their own, and flop it down right onto the tanks of Raging Inferno. Well, Rampaging Inferno. However, they are no longer rampaging. Though this Shatter may actually switch things back on their side. They get the 2K with the Fire Strike, and Hybrid, who continuously pushes forward, is just able to be this unmovable offense. The moment I started talking about them badly, they show me up. The caster curses.
That is so incredibly clutch from Hybrid. My gosh. Solar Flare, they had the fight in the bag right there, and probably the map as well, considering they're at 83%. But the Shatter from Hybrid comes up clutch. So Rampaging Inferno, they're gonna start getting some. They're gonna start getting a little bit of percentage going here. But you're gonna be playing into several from Solar Flare.
Yeah, they're throwing out a lot of ultimates. They're trying to make something happen, and it seems they're able to find out Pulse with it, but a lot of those ultimates used may be a bigger issue. However, they don't really seem to care. Being able to take out Skylar, collapsing on top of the rest of Rampaging Inferno, nothing left for them. They just wanted to win that as quick as possible.
Yeah, beautiful shots from Tiki Totem again, coming out huge on Gardens. It's the first 2 kills for Solar Flare, and it was all over from there. Rampaging Inferno, Hybrid has to swap onto the Wrecking Ball to try and get a touch here. Solar Flare, they had not taken a map off of Rampaging Inferno in their last fight. Can they do it here?
They're gonna at least be attempting to. That bomb flops down. We're seeing 2 already gone, and the Shatter cancels out Cassidy's High Noon. There is nothing left as Solar Flare, bringing back from what looked to be a scary first map, they take the victory. We're gonna be seeing Solar Flare finish out on Lijiang Tower.
And that is exactly what I wanted to see out of this team. You got that map win against Rampaging Inferno. You saw how you can beat them. And at this point, it's just about repeating that 3 more times. I was a little scared, assuming that the 3-0 was an actual match. I don't know if it says on the GitGud website if it's a forfeit or not, but I just saw 3-0 in favor of Rampaging Inferno in round 5. So the fact is, I feel like we were in a position where if Solar Flare lost that first map, it could have very quickly snowballed into Solar Flare being like, oh, we just can't beat these guys. But we found out now that they can. And now anything's possible.
I definitely agree. We are going to be showing some little flashy numbers on the screen. Get that little opportunity to be looking at these players and what they're going to be able to do. Oh, wait, I misheard my production. I'm going absolutely crazy because I got to say that Mora did a lot of room, at least I think, for the longest time. Maybe that was just a ploy and I trick all of you. Either way, absolutely amazing coming out of the side of Solar Flare. Just being able to bring it back. And, well, now they're going to be taking the lead in the series. It's first to 4, so like I don't really know what that counts as a best of, but either way,
best of 7, really if anything. But
Best
first to 4 is the better thing. We're just going to keep going until someone has 4 points on the board.
Fair enough, fair enough. And though, I wonder what really happened to Raging Inferno. Rampaging Inferno looked absolutely amazing when it came to just that first initial push on Lijiang Tower. Maybe they just scrim it a lot, or Solar Flare weren't ready to kind of defeat it. Either way, they kind of have to work on that brawl if they want anything.
Yeah, I feel like Rampaging Inferno shot themselves in the foot there a little bit on Gardens. It looked like they were thinking about going with just a traditional brawl comp, which would have been totally fine into what Solar Flare was running. Instead, they sacrificed the Lucio speed boost and the Cassidy damage to run a For Mercy instead. So they give up basically first point control because the speed boost allows Solar Flare to get onto the point first. And then once you do get there, you have to be able to sustain long enough for your Pharah to get damaged, force out resources, get picks, and they just couldn't do that with only the Baptiste heals. So by the time Rampaging Inferno made the switch, it was already too late. So Solar Flare go up early in the series, and it looks like we're going to be moving on to King's Row. If this was Rampaging Inferno's pick, that's a smart one, considering how well Control Center went for them.
Last time I checked, I don't really think the winners are going to be picking out the map. Pretty sure this is actually the loser's side, so
Yeah.
it seems that they really just want to. Well, wait, no, you're right. Yeah,
Yeah. Did I say winners? I meant losers.
No, my ears are a little bit dyslexic at days. You know, I've definitely got to struggle with that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I think there's another medical term for that.
I don't want to talk about it. Either way, my Spanish brain translating things incorrectly. Kings Row, one of the most popular maps. It seems we're going with the popularity contest right here. I'm a little bit more worried for Rampaging Inferno just because of the brawl kind of opportunities. But if they've picked it, that means they're confident.
I mean, you've got to be confident in your brawl, right? In a brawl v brawl matchup, it worked out extremely well for Rampaging Inferno in the little bit that we saw there on Kings Row. I'm sorry, not Kings Row, Control Center, as I mentioned. So, I definitely am not surprised at all by this map pick from them. I think it's a solid pick. Based on the little bit that I've seen, I'd say that they even have the advantage on this map.
I definitely would say.
That being said, if I can continue talking for a minute here. When we saw Rampaging Inferno and Solar Flare mirror, Rampaging Inferno came out on top. When we saw there be a bit of a mismatch in comps, Solar Flare came out on top. So that makes me wonder if Solar Flare are going to run something a little bit out of the box here. I know that meta and Habit says, no, you have to run Rhine Diva, Cassidy May, Baptiste Lucio. That's the meta on Kings Row. But we've seen those lines sort of start to blur a little bit in the meta. We've seen teams run stuff a little bit more creative, and I think that might take Rampaging Inferno, off guard if Solar Flare comes out with something a little wacky.
I definitely agree, but Kings Row, it's really kind of a comfortable map, I think, when it goes to just playing out straight onto your brawl. You really don't have to worry about doing anything else. Only got to the higher tier divisions really focus, I think, more onto the wrecking ball composition on this map. More than anything, I think it's just these teams wanting to just play their favorite thing. They absolutely love it, and, well, for some reason, they hate Eichenwald. So, you know, not my choice, but theirs.
Yeah, we should be heading into the game at any moment here. Hey, look at that. I am a genius. I predicted it.
It's almost like the production can hear everything we say, and they perfectly transition it ahead of time. Either way.
No, it was all me and my big brain.
I'd like to believe so. But let's take a moment to see that big brain. And because more than anything, Solar Flare are not running out with a May. And Rampaging Inferno, well, they might not run out with anything traditional. This just looks like Shadow Brawl, actual brawl, not a monkey. So let's just focus on Solar Flare until they walk out.
Yeah, Solar Flare running out without the May, so you're not going to be able to use the May walls as an initiation tool. Instead, you're focusing on the Cassidy and Hanzo damage from Pillarman and Tiki Totem, respectively. They can do a bunch of mid-range spam damage to Hybrid's shield. That's what you're looking for. You want to win the shield war and then go in off of that. Meanwhile, Rampaging Inferno are going to be looking at Pulse to get some big hacks. That's their initiation. That's once someone is hacked on the side of Rampaging and aside of Solar Flare, that's their go button.
Yep, they're already set up, moving forward. Though that Hanzo was able to break down that shield, make Hybrid a little bit more scared, even kind of toe tap onto Pulse. They're still not being able to find too much out of this. They're forcing back Rampaging Inferno. Now they're looking for that rotation, no longer feeling confident in moving forward. I'm guessing they're more focusing on these hacks as Pillarman. The moment that they get hacked, they move back. Now Skylar using out that window, making them a lot of room. Solar Flare, either way, are going to take their rotation. However, they lose Pillarman in the kind of conflict. That window there looking to take out Hybrid. However, Hybrid walks into the enemy's base of operation. Now the rest of the team without it, well, they're free to get hit by this Hanzo. No worry. They got that tick, but they lose that second one.
Yeah, Rampaging Inferno absolutely had that, but Hybrid bit off a little bit more than he could chew there, so Rampaging Inferno get pushed back, but you do have the EMP, the all-important EMP coming out from Pulse here. That is the, that's definitely the ultimate to watch right now. If you can get onto maybe the DPS, disable them from being able to use their ultimates. Even Barkley, close to the beat, doesn't have it yet, but that's probably the #1 priority. Just make sure there's no way that he could even get anywhere close to saving the team. And then you could use the Shatter, could be huge.
Oh, they're looking to push. They are looking for that EMP. Able to get a massive one at the best. Though the Dragons wanting to try to make a difference. You've lost the majority of your team. And that bomb, you have to use your jump to go in, and then, well, they just kill you. I think that's a little more rude. You guys could have just walked into it, you know, get the 2K maybe.
It's crazy how good EMP is. It's actually crazy how good it is. You didn't need anything else. Rampaging Inferno, they get a 5-man EMP, they disable the shield on Pyro Dragon, they just push in and win. That's as simple as that. And they get to keep the Shatter, they get to keep the Ant Matrix, they get to keep the beat, and Blink is also coming up on the Death Blossom. So Rampaging Inferno, they are in a fantastic position to continue pushing up here. Solar Flare, though, they have some ult in response right now. I'm expecting this to be a pretty flashy fight, especially with both Ryans with the Shatters online.
I've got glasses dividing, so do you. I don't think we really need a flashy fight, because that sound barrier is going up against that window, combined with Own Pillar Man's High Noon. This is more of just kind of show-offs, but look at that Hybrid's gonna get a hit. That Shatter misses out, and Blink's own Blossom gets canceled. So unfortunate. Tried to make the hero play, but it seems that they're gonna have to think of a new plan.
I don't know if Hybrid just mistimed the High Noon or what. He knew the High Noon was going off. And he just peeked up around the corner anyways when Pillar Man was still up with it. So losing your Reinhardt that early is a key. That's just something that you can't have happen when it comes to these Brawl 1v1. So Solar Flare, they managed to stabilize the Rampaging Inferno. They still have the Shatter from Hybrid. They're going to have the beat from Tibcon to potentially help them engage. And then Pulse will probably have the EMP early. I mean, late.
Yep, they pop out that Dragon. It unfortunately doesn't get eaten, which is so far away. And Pyro Dragon gets hacked. This is a perfect opportunity to use that Shatter. Even if you kill off Hybrid, the rest of your team, well, I guess they just don't care. They're not going to be able to do much in Solar Flare. Well, they're going to stop you dead in your tracks.
That was so good from Pillar Man. You get the Shatter off onto the supports, and the flashbang could not have been more perfectly timed to stop any sort of follow-up to getting onto your supports there. And because of that, Swarl, Sparkly, and Froji Fizzy stay alive, and Solar Flare continue their stranglehold on this point. Rampaging Inferno, it lost so fast that Pulse didn't have the chance to get the EMP off. You have it this time, and that was your win condition in the first point. That's what I'm going to be looking at as the win condition here.
And now they're going to be a little bit more focused, trying to do as much as they can. Unfortunately, though, that EMP is shutting them down at every turn. And that bomb finishes off with the 3K. It seems that they're really relying on these EMPs, though.
Yeah, the only two convincing fight wins that's Rampaging Inferno have had so far have been off of the EMPs. And it just has not been consistent otherwise. And that worries me. Because, I mean, if you get to take a third point off of this, you'll have Pulse get another EMP before the timer runs down, so you'll have that.
I definitely agree. They're now stalling on this second point. They lose out TikTok, unfortunately, so they have to pop out that sound barrier to make a difference. Pyro setting up with this Shatter, hoping to get this opportunity. That's a massive stun, and that's an even bigger Shatter, stopping them dead in their tracks. It just seems that Rampaging Inferno, without that Sombra, they're not going to get anything done.
That was so good from Pyro Dragon. It was looking real iffy for them. As I was saying, Pulse is already halfway to another EMP. If you were able to get that point across the finish line, get onto the third point, you're going to have another one. The EMP has been a 100% fight win rate for you so far in this map. You could probably take that to the end. Now, you're in a situation where you have 50 seconds left. You don't know if you're going to get that EMP up in time, and you have to get on pretty much any of your other ultimates to try and make the difference. It just hasn't been as consistent as the EMP has so far, and this is very possibly last fight if Rampaging Inferno lose this.
Well, it seems they just want to be able to move in. That bomb slowing them down, and yet Pillar Man is able to be taken out. That trade onto Skylar, though, while Hybrid gets that beautiful Shatter. Hybrid is looking to make the difference, but it's up to this Blossom. It just seems Blink is being very kind of apprehensive, because they don't really need it. They're able to win it out, and they have a chance to finish this on third.
That was so many ultimates at once, but the key one was the hybrid shatter. It froze up Solar Flare for just a minute, and just that enough time of not taking any damage was enough for Rampaging Inferno to just barely pull through. And again, they didn't have to use Blossom. They didn't have to use EMP. That is a massive, that's a massive combo that they could use to get themselves across the finish line. But TibCon does have feet this time.
Look at that, they're already being prepared, playing out this window, pumping that damage, taking out Jane Wall's mech. Now with Pyro being too scared to do anything, just gonna keel over and die with the rest of their team. This is now gonna be a staggered fight as this gets closer into not only overtime, but the last capture.
Yeah, and you win that with just the Amp Matrix. That's so terrible for Solar Flare. Rampaging Inferno now, they have so many ultimates to help them really get this ult across the finish line here. Solar Flare will have Shatter, they'll have Dragon Strike and Amp Matrix. Rampaging Inferno, they still have that EMP Blossom combo.
Yep, already looking to slow this down as much as possible. They finish off Skylar, the mech, and Hybrid. That Sound Barrier comes out way too late. You can try and use that Death Blossom, but it's not only getting eaten, you get hit with a hammer, and that just hurts.
The synergy, the coordination, it wasn't there for Rampaging Inferno. When I saw EMP Blossom up at the same time, I thought for sure they were going to try and combo it together, but Blink lets it go, gets nothing from it, and now Pulse is left onto this lonely EMP with 3 seconds left on the clock. I don't know how much you can do about it, and you're shattered, you're dead, you can't use the EMP.
They managed to just barely get the Sound Barrier out to help out Pyro Dragon, but it's now a downward spiral. The rest of the team having to do as much as they can. Hybrid is picked off. Pulse is managing to come back, hoping to just make some form of difference. But with this Dragons, it's able to go right through Pulse, finish you off, and that Lucio, well, there's no voice line that definitely say your defeat. You get stopped right on third point. Solar Flare setting themselves up for the future.
It's so disappointing to see because Pulse was holding on to that EMP for so incredibly long. And that, I think, when we're getting these lower levels, it's a very common mistake is that you have your ultimate and you're waiting so long to find that perfect moment, that play of the game, 6-man, team wipe, everyone gets to see you at the end, and it's your perfect moment. But when it comes to ultimates, you don't always get the chance to do that. If you can find an ultimate that isn't super pretty, but it secures 1 or 2 kills, and therefore the fight for your team, you take that every time. I think Rampaging Inferno got too caught up on finding that explosive 6-man kind of play that they let a lot of potential fight-winning plays slip past them.
I definitely agree. They are running back onto that Sombra. I think Sombra is absolutely an amazing character to play, especially if you're being able to move forward, but I'm worried about an over-reliance on it.
Yeah, it seemed like the only time they were able to consistently get it was with that EMP, and that is very worrying here. But sticking on to it, and I mean, for what it's worth, the EMP has been working. So, when it does go off, it has been working. So I think this isn't the worst thing, but I just need to be seeing the other members of Rampaging Inferno sort of pick up the slack. I need to see that they can win in other ways.
You know, I definitely see what you mean. Now we see them already setting up, TikTok making a beautiful angle, looking to just force them off the point, break those shields down. Now Rampaging Inferno already having to use their immortality, struggling just to be able to push forward without getting hit with so much. It seems their diva wanted to be able to peel people out, but gets punished for it, loses their mech. Now they are at a massive disadvantage, not going to be able to eat up anything. Sure, Pyro's dangerously low, but with this remech, they lose out their own diva. Skylar is forced to use this window, but they lose their Reaper in the counterplay. That headshot is just so powerful. But that's a 6-man EMP! They're able to find out Tick, the true oppressor of the game. Same with Pro, that just barely managed to save them in the fight.
That was a minute EMP build from Pulse. That's insane. Just shows how much damage it was getting in on. They were not getting in on that fight, and I mean, that's so good there for Rampaging Inferno. Just, I mean, if you're only going off of EMPs, if you can get an EMP every minute, That's fair. That'll win you a map. That'll win you a game.
Yep, they're popping up that shatter to stop them from using the window. They don't get a true kill off it, but they are so low, it's getting scary. Eventually, we do see Pyro falling down to the ground, while the rest of the team needing to just kind of clean up the rest of the fight. Solar Flare, they're not gonna be doing much.
Hybrid press Q, Solar Flare go down. That is the analysis for that game. And Hybrid, that was some beautiful plays there. It's now Rampaging Inferno. They're looking strong on this first point hold, already getting rid of one half of that time bank. Rampaging Inferno, they have both support ultimates as well online, and the Death Blossom, and the bomb. This is looking really, really good for them right now. Solar Flare, they've got to get the cart moving soon.
Yep, they're throwing that bomb up, but they lose out Pyro Dragon. That's not gonna go good. How do you let that happen? You can't even push forward. We already see them peeling backwards. However, they are looking for these staggers. Even Blink moving forward, hoping to get that Death Blossom off, but decides to not do it. Now with this fight kind of reconvening back in, we're gonna have to see what they do to fix these issues.
That was so good from Pulse. Comes out from the side, gets a hack off on the Pyro Dragon, and the rest of Rampaging Inferno just melts them down. There was no choice from there.
We'll see what choice they make now. High Noon's able to just kill Pillarman after the High Noon. They use the sound barrier to basically ignore everything, and that Shatter is only going to be able to hit the Diva. Luckily, though, the combined with Blink and Hybrid, they're going to be able to shut you down, not even using that Blossom. Don't even need to, man, as they just slowly pick you off, and you have a minute to try to bring this back.
And Solar Flare used so many ults. I mean, how many times have they tried to push in here? Like 6? It seems like just statistically you should be able to win one of those brawl fights, but it just hasn't happened. And now Solar Flare, they have the beat and just about nothing else, playing into Death Blossom, EMP, Shatter, Ant Matrix. This is so good for Rampaging Inferno. Pulse waiting for that EMP. It doesn't matter at this point if you're going to go for one and go for the perfect moment. It's going to be great either way.
Yeah, they're looking to just follow them in. They move in. They have that immortality down on the ground, but they seem to not really want to take this fight. Rampaging Inferno are backing up, trying to bait them into a bigger space so they can get a better EMP. However, they just are relying on the high ground. Jadenwell's going to be throwing out that bomb, hoping to make some type of difference, but this is basically one big LOS. Skylar's going to go down, though, so we see the throw. That EMP hits. That's a 4-man. The sound barrier comes in, just barely being able to save them after the Death Blossom, but they still lose one. Hybrid is gone, though. This is no longer in favorites of Inferno, as they're going to be fighting on the back foot. The Reaper is the only person truly alive, as Skylar just respawned, and they're not going to be able to stop this hold. Unfortunately enough, they're not going to be looking to kind of win this out. There's still a chance.
Yeah, Skylar gets taken out early, and it's so difficult, even with the EMP Blossom, to be able to overcome the loss of the Baptiste healing, especially when your EMP hits everyone except the Lucio. Swallows Barkley with the perfect beat in order to counter the combo.
They're throwing out that Dragons, wanting to try to make this a winnable fight as early as possible. I mean, you already did by taking out Hybrid, but you get Skylar, who, that Dragon was so far out. That hurts.
Oh. That's so bad. Skylar gets taken out early again for Rampaging Inferno. You just can't be losing your Baptiste like that. As now, Rampaging Inferno are back to spawn, and look at all the space that Solar Flare get to take pretty much for free. Solar Flare also, now the ult advantage is very much in their favor. 3 ultimates to 1 right now. Tipcon coming up pretty close to that beat, but Solar Flare is still very much in a good spot here.
They throw that bomb very early. They missed the charge initially to help it out, but they're still able to land it. Unfortunately, Hybrid was way too far to get that peel. This Shatter is now free for Pyro, but holding it, waiting for a more opportune moment, is taking so much damage. They have to drop their shield. Luckily, though, it seems that the Diva was trying to do as much as they can to peel onto that point, but they just immediately get punished. The rest of Solar Flare slowly just going to be in the practice range as they take out the rest of Rampage and Inferno.
And after a really slow start for Solar Flare, they have a very realistic chance to win this map, assuming that they're able to keep Hybrid away from the cart and just take second point right here. The Pyro Dragon may have gone a little bit too far. Immortality Field has to be committed to keep them alive. But you do get second point. So that's 2 minutes and 30 seconds to try and bring this to the end. 63.78 meters are what separates Solar Flare from a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, look at this! Oh my goodness, Jane Wall wants to bring home the victory. That bomb was absolutely crucial. Hybrid is alive, but Hybrid gets melee to death, slowing down their respawn timer. This is not looking good.
And the shatter from Pyro Dragon sets up the bomb so beautifully. That is textbook stuff from Solar Flare. You absolutely love to see it, but you still need to win one more fight here to secure the King's Row victory. And Rampaging Inferno built up quite the bank of ultimates here against pretty much just the Ant Matrix. This is going to be a tough one.
The EMP's there. What? They were right behind you, Pulse. You gotta be watching your corners. You almost died. Now you have to hope that your team is able to push it out. That sound barrier window are still set. They are brawling, taking out Pyro Dragon. It's getting a little bit scary now for the side of Inferno. That payload is so close. They are just pumping in that damage. You no longer have a shield, though you have a free shatter. The rest of the side of Solar Flare, they have backed up, so you cannot land it.
Yeah, and that was a very cheap fight from Rampaging Inferno as well. You only have to use the Ant Matrix from Skylar, and he's already halfway to another one. So that's incredible. And Rampaging Inferno has so many ultimates to use in this fight.
They managed to drop that EMP, but look at that. Inferno managed to get the 2K out of the bomb. The sound barrier is a late one, and it's not able to kind of help the rest of the team. Pyro Dragon only got it for a couple seconds. The rest of the team now choosing to reset and hopefully bring it back. They have 3 ultimates, but it's against 4. I wonder, do numbers matter?
Well, you use the EMP bomb in that last fight, and that is your most lethal ultimate combo that is no longer available for Rampaging Inferno. So Solar Flare can be aggressive here. With the bomb of their own and the DPS ultimates, it could very easily go towards them.
We'll have to see. That bomb falls into the immortality. The dragons fling them up. The shatter hitting that wall. Texo Dragon makes that opening, able to get that 2K, and well, slowly melt down the rest of Inferno. You definitely started to step it up, and you definitely started to play a lot better. But I guess Solar Flare are a little bit too blinding to the eye as we see the sound barrier hoping to stop this fight. Pillarman is going to go down. Pyro Dragon able to take out the Lucia, but this is now one big
Not
fight.
over.
Wrecking Ball looking to do the best that they can. The Death Blossom messing up, dropping down, able to get 2.
This is very losable.
This is 100% losable. How are they bringing this back? We see Fro gone. Hanzo able to get this big, but there are only 2 people on point. And I can't believe the Inferno kept raging. They kept stomping, and they were not ready to lose this series. That Doomfist has nothing left because this Inferno is still ready to shine brighter than any sun. We're going to be seeing them tie up the series.
That was an insane recontest from Rampaging Inferno. The Cassidy on Solar Flare tried to go for a little bit of spawn camping and got caught out there. And without the damage from the Cassidy, Solar Flare was not able to stand up to what was about to happen. You needed that flashbang. If you were ult tracking there and you knew that the Death Blossom was coming, you needed the flashbang to be able to stun that out. You didn't have it, so the Reaper gets a ton of value, and Rampaging Inferno, they've managed to bring it back.
It was absolutely insane. I just gotta be real with you. The fact that we are now having a 1-to-1 and Rampaging Inferno being able to bring them back, I was already closing it out. It had looked like Solar Flare were going to win, but immediately punished due to their over-aggression and just kind of getting that flashbang eaten. Man, these teams, they're truly wanting to win. Ironically enough, I can continue with these fire puns all day, but dividing, man, my anxiety. I don't know how to handle this.
It is that was an incredibly close match, and I think that is just the tip of the iceberg for what we're about to do in this matchup here. If that King's Row match was a microcosm of what we're going to get tonight, buckle in, Intel, because we're going to be here for a while, and I'm not complaining.
I definitely had to agree, but more than anything, we're going to be going to a quick break as we get set and prepared to see which team will be able to take the lead in the next map. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back with GitGud NA.
I'm running your way, but you push me away. Your lifeline, losing your mind. I'm here for you, babe. I've loved you the same this whole time. So tell me, what's on your mind? And I'm not here to hear you say you're fine. I can take the pain you hold inside. I wanna know, wanna see it. Can I feel your grip tonight? Can't get this off my mind. Does it only control you? Let me in, I'll help you out. I won't lose you this time. You think you're too far, but I'm where you are, you know. I said I won't leave your side. They left you bare, but I'm begging you, stare in my eyes. For you, yeah, I'd give my life. And I'm not here to hear you say you're fine. I can take the pain you hold inside. I wanna know, wanna see it. Can I feel your grip tonight? Can't get this off my mind. Does it only control you? Let me in, I'll help you out. I won't lose you this time. I wanna know, wanna see it. Can I feel your grip tonight? Can't get this off my mind. Does it own you, control you? Let me in, I'll help you out. I won't lose you this time.
One more wine, one more whiskey, and we just kept the car in park and dim the headlights so we see the stars. Let them tell us where we should start. And I'm scared as hell because there's no way to know how this goes. But I can't help but say I promise to give you my all. But it might break me. It might break me, break me. It might break me, break me. It might break me down. I won't let you down. But it might break me, break me. It might break me, break me. It might break me down. It might break me. It might break me. It might break me. It might break me down. But it might break me. But it might break me. It might break me. It might break me down. But it might break me. The sight of you, it makes me dizzy. And when you're gone, I miss your face. Tonight I'll meet you in our favorite place. And just can't let this wait one more day. But I'm scared as hell, and there's just no way to know how this goes. And I can't help but say, trusting why you are so beautiful. But it might break me.
Welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that little break. Maybe you got yourself a little bit more water, or you're trying to figure out. You're sitting there analyzing. You got the whiteboard out, trying to figure out who right now is going to be taking the lead in this series. Both Rampaging, Inferno, and Solar Flare taking one map to one, and they've been extremely close. Well, more specifically, the last map, King's Row, was absolutely a nail biter.
Yeah, it was one of the closest King's Row maps I've seen in a while. It was looking like Rampaging Inferno. They had Solar Flare on the ropes, and Solar Flare came back, and then Rampaging Inferno came back. The Solar Flare's comeback. It was absolutely wild. If you're just joining us now, you've got to go back and watch the end of that map. It was crazy. But what ended up coming out of it was Rampaging Inferno with the win in the end to tie us up 1-1, which is huge. Just not falling into a 2-map hole early is so big in these sort of longer first to 4 series that we have today. You have to be able to. It's all about a mental game at some point. Eventually, players are going to be playing for a while. They're going to start getting tired, and especially if you start falling behind early, you're going to you might get demotivated, and that would just cause a snowball to form that would end up in your eventual loss. Both teams now know that they have what it takes to beat the other team head to head.
Now, though, I think now that they're a bit more prepared and excited to kind of go back into the match, we're just going to have to see what they do on this next upcoming map, because I don't really know what to kind of say off it. I don't feel it kind of favors that brawl composition that we really just saw. More than anything, I think when it comes to a map like Route 66, we're going to be seeing a lot more dive, double shield, and bunker style compositions. Those are just what's more favorable.
It is more favorable, but we are in the lower division of ELO Hell, so I honestly think that in the end, what you're good at tends to take precedence over what's meta, so I wouldn't at all be surprised if Raging Inferno decides to just keep going with what's working for them, keep going with the Rhine comps, with the Sombra. It could definitely work, but Route 66 does have the space and the open skies to really have a dive comp work really well. I'd really want to see some dive. I'd love to see some Wrecking Ball come out from these teams. We haven't seen it yet, and I am itching for some new compositions personally.
Yeah, at least for me, I definitely like to see when lower tier teams, they play that dive. It's almost a little funny sometimes, because being in the rookie division does not inherently mean you're a bad player. It just means that collectively your team are missing some things that make them a little better. It might be target focus. It might be just SR average. It might be just you're smurfing. Who knows? Some people like to do whatever they want to do. Either way, I think it's really important to kind of flex around, make sure you mess with people, and you try to do whatever you can to kind of get that advantage. And if it comes down to playing dive to a team that doesn't know how to play against it, then you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. It is fair to note here that I believe Solar Flares, losers of the last map, had the choice in this one. Their favorite escort map is not Route 66. It's actually Dorado, which I find it interesting that they decided to take us to Route 66 instead. What I want to say here is that they think they maybe have a sort of compositional strategy here that'll work out for them better than it would have on Dorado. If they want to run maybe a double shield comp on defense, that would be really good. Just try and spam down the Rampaging Inferno potential brawl before it hits. That could be a very intriguing potential composition. Or try and outspeed them. Go with a dive composition instead. And then who knows what Rampaging Inferno we're going to come out with. I think here's what I'll say. In Lijiang Gardens, we saw them come out with sort of a hybrid comp of Brawl tanks and then a For Mercy, which means these guys aren't afraid to sort of Frankenstein different pieces of different comps together in order to get the kind of effect that they deserve, that they're looking for. So we could really be seeing anything come out from them.
You know, you said you were going to talk about what you would see, but you just said anything can come out. I don't know what you truly achieved with your bed and in your room, okay?
Don't say anything about my bed. Good
I'm not
bet.
saying anything bad. I'm just saying there is a bed in the bedroom. That's something I read in Twitch chat. Just wanted to point that out. Kind of an oxymoron, and it absolutely messed with my mind. Gave me a second to rethink. Either way, I think what we'll be seeing a lot on when it comes to this is either just pure brawl against that double shield, or both teams just walking out trying to run as many variations. Maybe even the Reinhardt Orisa. It's not unpopular. It's definitely used in these lower divisions because of I don't want to say how much it's like ultimately used, but how some teams struggle when there are two very powerful forces going up against you.
Yeah, what the Orisa gives you in comparison to like a Diva is a real pivot point, right? You're able to use that Orisa shield to sort of be a little bit more sturdy. You can have maybe with that kind of comp you don't have a Lucio, but you have more healing. It's a little slower, but you still have the 2 shields to contend with, and that would allow that would make it very difficult for the other team to break through all of that to get to the core of your composition. So the Ryan Orisa is definitely in play. I feel like what we've been saying in this intro has just been, we could see anything. Who knows?
It's practically the capability we have when it comes to the rookie division. They only like to mess with our hearts. I've never seen them run the same thing. So, it's kind of understandable more than anything. It's like watching a Mario game, when you see the new trailer, except for Mario Odyssey. Everything before that, you're just like, well, wow, a new Mario game. It's going to be the same thing, It's just kind of that sentimentality. But we're going to see right now, Rampaging Inferno. As we said, that double shield, yet Solar Flare teasing out onto that dive. I see a lot of teams play this double shield, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. What makes a double shield work on Route 66?
It all comes down to how well you're able to play around your shields, right? That is what the comp is named after. So you have to be able to be playing around your shields really well. Shield management is also super big, making sure that you always have a shield in front of you, because that big girl sign is not going to do very much protection on its own. It's going to come out to how much damage can Blink and Pulse get off before their sort of shield integrity becomes compromised. Meanwhile, Solar Flare are going to be coming up here on this double bubble comp, so there's going to be a lot of pressure here on Pyro Dragon. He's going to be jumping in on this mass. Jane's going to give him the bubble. He's going to put down his own bubble, and how much damage, how much space can he buy for his team before he eventually is probably going to go down with the concentrated damage.
We're going to be seeing that early dive, forcing the immortality. The hybrid was getting absolutely no healing. The body blocking, which is absolutely positive. So we're going to be seeing this reconvene as Solar Flare are more looking to make that space. The anti manages to hit out hybrid, but they're not going to be really able to push forward, unfortunately enough. So now we're going to be interesting to see how they try to kind of reconvene. This payload is going to stop moving as it's in a perfect spot. The bubble's more than enough to be able to protect them against that fan. The hammer now with Rampaging Inferno's own tanks being taken out of the fight. They don't really have much to be able to do. They slowly fall down and, well, they whittle because they're not going to be able to bring this fight up. That double bubble just way too good.
And this is the problem that happens so often when people try to play double shield on point A Route 66. Solar Flare just goes, okay, you want to stick up on top of Big Earls? That's fine. You're not touching the point. We'll just play under you and keep getting point push. And by the time Rampaging Inferno realizes what's happening, it's way too late for them to be able to adjust in time, and Solar Flare take first point in a very fast pace with the Primal Rage, the Deadeye, and probably the Pulse Bomb. Actually, really everything except for Rally should be coming up this fight for them.
They're going to be looking to try to play a bit more defensive, especially with Pulse's own Sara coming in. Unfortunately, though, that Nano hitting the Monkey and the Anti hitting on to Blink, they're going to be gone in a blink of an eye, pun enough. So we see Pyro Dragon after getting hit by that charge, use the Primal Rage, and now the rest of Rampaging Inferno, they're gone so quickly.
Yeah. Rampaging Inferno, they had wholesale comp, which is after losing point A, so they had no ultimates available, so Solar Flare just go, we're gonna take full advantage of that advantage you've given us and use all of our ultimates at once, pretty much, and Solar Flare come around with the win. The question is, does Rampaging Inferno want to try and come in for a contest before the end of point B? If they do, they'll have to contend with the Gravitic Surge, which comes out and locks up everybody.
We see that bubble blocking out the majority of what they're able to achieve. However, this can test on to the point. It's going to be really hard for the side of Solar Flare, as they've lost the primary factors of that can really kind of change this back. And even though Blink is alive and being able to kind of peel in for the team and help out, they weren't really paying attention. So Rampaging Inferno, they are luckily going to have a chance to stop this snowball.
And while in the middle of the massive bodies in the grab, Blink takes out Froji Fizzy. Losing that Ana is so bad for Solar Flare. You just lose so much of your healing ability. And now look at all of this space they have to cross in order to get back to the point. This is going to be tough.
It is a long road to try to break through this, especially with Blink's own high noon. This could be an issue. Pulse now has this EMP. Tries to pop it out, does it a little late, but comes out even better. Mentioned hit that 4K. They're going to be able to use that sound barrier just because they were getting a little bit low, more specifically Skylar. So with the rest of Solar Flare, just kind of moving back, that window issue is kind of like a cowboy using a shotgun when saying get off my lawn or something like that.
I will believe you on that one. Solar Flare, they've had a couple of bad fights here, and Rampaging Inferno, as much as they want to push on this advantage, they have to be super careful, because if someone on that team is ult tracking, you know that they haven't used ults in a while, and Solar Flare are getting quite the bank. All 6 ultimates will be on the line here, playing into just an Earth Shatter and a High Noon on the side of Rampaging Inferno, and Blink already very low.
Look at that, just being absolutely oppressive. Tick wants to use that pulse bomb to try to finish them off. It's not going to do too much besides lower them down. However, that's more than what they needed. Hybrid eventually gets picked. Skylar now stuck all alone, eventually going to be finished off. Pyro may be 1 HP and finished off by Tip, but the rest of the DPS are there looking to finish things off. However, they still are being able to do as much as they can to stall the time. Well, as hard as they want to. Unfortunately enough, the problem comes from the fact that Swirl is alive, and that's basically a mini Reinhardt stalling your point. And then they decide to come back. Pop that Shatter is going to be hitting the Brigida, but there is Pillarman walking into your team, shutting you down. You just gave them a little bit more ult charge. How does that feel?
Yeah, that was ambitious from Hybrid. You were at a 6v2 at best, and you decide to lay down the Shatter and try and get something out of it, and now you don't have it anymore for this next fight. Solar Flare is setting a very good pace right now with 3 minutes going into point C, and you get to hang on to that all-important grab. Tibcon doesn't have the beat yet. Pulse doesn't have the EMP. There isn't very many ults that can really counter the grab right now if Janewall is aggressive with it.
They're pushing in. They're able to immediately take out Pillarman. That was just a beautiful collab. Now the rest of the team just trying to do their best, getting away from Rampaging Inferno. This is looking a bit more favorable to the Brawl as they're able to get the hack onto Tick. And Hybrid is just continuously moving forward alone. Is going to be absolutely punished for it until the support line's able to come back in, hack out Jane, and then protect them before the grab's able to come out.
Yeah, that's about as good as it gets there. Pillarman goes in a little bit too far, gets sectioned up, taken out, and Solar Flare back to spawn. But back to spawn with ults. Once again, they go 1 or 2 fights without using any ults, and now they have all of them.
They're looking to do as best they can, but Tick's own pulse bomb gets in. Not going to be able to follow up. High Noon just barely misses, but it seems that the EMP lasting for so long helps take out Jane. Pyro has no bubble to be able to protect themselves. Pillarman able to get that 2K, but the rest of their team slowly falling down. Well, that's just going to mean a reset.
Reset for Solar Flare, and Janewall now is going to have to swap onto the D.Va, so we're going to go straight dive from Solar Flare, but Tiki Totem is going to stick onto the Hanzo as well. So it's, again, a kind of a weird hybrid where, okay, now this makes sense. This is the same composition they played on King's Row, just trying to be as brawly as possible, but is it too late? Because with just 1 minute 10 seconds on the clock, I don't know if you're going to have enough time to build up the ultimates you need.
Yep, we see Pyro just immediately getting melted down. That Shatter at 50 HP. It's a little bit glorious, but then you're taken out of it. That's not going to be play of the game. They absolutely ruined your chances. How rude of you, Rampaging Inferno.
Yeah, extremely rude. Tiki Totem finds Pulse in the back, so that's really big, making sure you don't get any EMP charge right now. And Solar Flare, with that pick, are going to push up now. You still are pretty much only dealing with the High Noon from Pillarman right now, but you're continuing to get picks and push Rampaging Inferno back.
that they're moving very forward, throwing in that bomb as a countermeasure, and it seemed that it was more than enough. You tried to take that rotation to beat the defending side, but they're gonna make you feel like, well, you're back in spawn. They're saying, hey, just go back to your room. They're now switching over to this stall with less than 20 seconds.
This is now going to be really tough. Like I said, I didn't know if they were going to have enough time to build up ultimates, and they don't. No one who swapped from Solar Flare has the ultimate yet. It's just Pillar Man with the High Noon still, and Pyro Dragon is forced to swap on the Wrecking Ball to touch.
They are doing the best that they can. That High Noon able to help. There are 2 down, but the EMP comes in. That's a
6.
absolute 6. They're able to pump in that damage, but without the reinforcements to help out, and only Skylar really putting in that damage, it's completely nullified. Now, this is where we're going to be seeing the respawns try to make any form of a difference. Tipcon dies with that sound barrier. Now it's going to be taking a little bit longer. They are looking to stall as much as they can, but that bomb being placed onto the point, they have to stand behind the shield, able to get that remake kill and find out Blink with it. It's a little bit more unfortunate. Those dragons absolutely a phenomenal, making that immortality have to come out so they can try to touch, but they're being hit from so many angles. They are not being able to live up to this glory, and with Pulse falling down and eventually Tipcon, there's not much left you're gonna have, because we are going to be seeing them capture the 3rd point just barely, but even then they have no time back.
Man, I feel like the Wrecking Ball swap was actually what Solar Flare needed. You were able to play so much faster, so much more aggressively, and it seemed like Rampaging Inferno, they weren't able to stand up to it. So now, Solar Flare, it was tumultuous at times, it was definitely a little shaky at times, but they managed to finish the map. So it comes up to Raging Inferno. They have to now equalize, get a finish as well, or else they're going to fall behind in the series once again.
My goodness, this is still a sizable win condition. I do believe on Escort, at least, even if Rampaging Inferno managed to capture it, they'll both get a minute, so they'll be able to kind of push this a little bit farther, and they have set themselves up with a nice win condition. Rampaging Inferno, though, man, that big collapse on that last fight truly hurt them. I don't know, maybe if they just couldn't focus or too reliant on seeing that EMP come out, they absolutely couldn't do anything.
Yeah, again, it's really tough right here for Raging Inferno. I'm curious to see what Blink and Hybrid are going to go on here. Are we going to be seeing Brawl? Are we going to be seeing Dive? It really could go either, depending on what these last 2 players lock in here. For Solar Flare's part, they're going to keep playing this double shield composition. The Cassidy Hanzo CPS line has worked out quite well for them so far, so I'm not surprised to see them keeping the same thing. And Rampaging Inferno, they're going to stick onto the dives. This looks a lot like a 6-man rush composition, but you don't have that Lucio speed boost. You're not going to be able to be quite as fast as you would be otherwise. So instead, you're really kind of more looking at a traditional dive with Hybrid and Dash going in to capitalize on Pulse's hacks, while Skylar and Tipcon stay in the back.
It's the first time I've ever seen a composition of Shadow Dive truly have that Brigitte, but maybe I'm not seeing the bigger picture. We're seeing Solar Flare on top of this high ground, looking to just burst down anybody who's pushing that point, but with the flank going in, not only did they get the hack onto Swirl, they're able to slightly disengage while Blink finds out Jane Wall. This dive was absolutely perfect. They eventually finish off the rest of Solar Flare, but Pyro, who needs to be saved for last for some prejudice reason, and now they're going to be able to continue pushing this payload.
Yeah, Rampaging Inferno do just about a good job as Solar Flare on that first point, and now we are probably going to be seeing some changes come out from Solar Flare. That is exactly what we see, as we're going to get a kind of a dive comp coming up from Solar Flare now. This is really interesting. This is a matchup that I haven't seen in a while, and I really like the Echo swap from Tiki Totem. There really isn't much on Rampaging Inferno that can deal with a long-range flying hit scan projectile character like Echo.
Real big ooga booga moment in my own words. Hybrid, though, going dangerously low, doesn't pop that primal fast enough, is going to be punished for it. But with Jane Wall's own mech being put down, it seems to not really push them any farther. Rampaging Inferno more than happy to just go back to their spawn room, let themselves die, and have a free reset because they're having the pulse bomb as a way just to kind of go in.
Yeah, great stuff there. Rampaging Inferno, though, they have the all-important EMP. This has been their most consistent win condition all game so far, as well as the Blossom coming out from Blink. This is a great opportunity for Rampaging Inferno to continue getting progress on this point, because Solar Flare really don't have very many ultimates right now.
Now we're looking at them push forward. The EMP is very nice combined with the Blossom. There's really nothing that could stop it except Pillar Man if that stun was able to go 16,000 miles. The rest of the team are looking to just try to stall their own deaths, maybe get a pick a tiny bit. Pyro's even going into the enemy spawn for some reason. No, wait, that's their own spawn. Why am I getting a loss? I don't know. I just saw him, like, slowly walking away. I'm sitting there like, why is he going to his own spawn?
Swirls Barkley comes up big there. Oh, no, sorry. What am I thinking? Swirls Barkley doesn't come up big. He doesn't have the beat, isn't able to counter the EMP Death Blossom combo, and that's just it.
Oh, unfortunately, the Hainu not going to be able to take out that Primal, so they have to use his copy to try to make that difference. That bomb placed down does get nullified by the bubble, but Solar Flare not really cared too much as they're going to be moving forward. They're being able to build up so much kind of room placing that bomb, hoping to just find anybody out with it. It finds two! Just randomly placed bomb used for a remake reset onto the Echo was absolutely phenomenal. The rest of Rampaging Inferno, well, if they want to try and keep pushing it, they have 3 minutes to do their best.
There's absolutely no reason that bomb should have gotten as much value as it did, but here we are, and now Rampaging Inferno find themselves in the same situation Solar Flare did, with a point right at the end of point B. They have to try and cross this ground as quickly and as cleanly as possible, because Sticky Totem's going to be looking for spam. Swirls Barkley is going to be looking for spam as well. There's so much opportunity to force resources out, force healing ultimates out if they aren't careful.
They are now taking this fight extremely fast, wanting to take out Pillar Man, or just barely able to escape and help to take out Skylar. That's an even 2 trade. They really need that Ana, though. Losing out on both supports is going to be a further issue because Blink has this Death Blossom, has to go back to this Mega Health Pack, but it seems that they really don't care too much. Rampaging Inferno are able to get so much room pushing forward without any form of healings, even just barely almost gets that hack onto Pyro, but without Solar Flare having their team, they're not really going to be able to do much. Hybrid, though, look at that. Doomfist has nothing on these types of juggle mechanics.
Absolutely not, as with a little bit of help from Blink, Pillar Man does go down on Rampaging Inferno. Look to be, as soon as they deal with the stragglers, doing more than enough to get on the point C. This is actually pretty even with Solar Flare's push up to this point. They're maybe going to have 30 seconds on them as they try and push in for some staggers, but they're not going to get it. So, with about 3 minutes on the clock, yeah, this is probably about the same rate that Solar Flare had on their attack up to this point. This is extremely even right now, so the question is, can Rampaging Inferno bring us through to the end?
Yeah, it is getting increasingly more difficult, and I think they'll find to notice that the more that they run this Shadow Dive, the more it might get a little harder in these close quarters. Though that bubble just barely helps, and Pillarman gets hacked the moment that they try to go in. They're not going to be able to escape. You've just been boomed. That bomb placed down, looking to pick up anybody. Goes underneath the payload to kill Skylar and finds out Pulse. That was so close for Rampaging Inferno to just ignore it and then win this fight, even with their D.Va slowly getting staggered. Well, Solar Flare make it work.
Yeah, Rampaging Inferno are so strong in the early fight, but after they use that hack, that jump, and if they don't get any kills out of it, it is so likely that Solar Flare in the mid and late fight are going to be able to pull through with their sustainability and just their overall consistent damage. So Solar Flare now in a very strong position with the Meteor Strike from Pillar Man and the Dragon Strike coming up soon, but Raging Inferno. I see the EMP Blossom.
Yep, we see it. It's a massive play. Unfortunately, though, it looks like that Death Blossom gets stuck on top of the platform. It's going to be hurting them in the end, but either way, they're just going to basically roll with the flow, able to not only take out this random Hanzo, but Millerman. The rest of the tanks are too low to really get any help, so it seems that they are at a massive advantage, even with this DC. Uh-oh.
DC.
Luckily, we get that pause after the fight, but that is scary for Rampaging Inferno. They just lost their D.Va.
That is extremely scary, because now, when the D.Va comes back, she's going to be back in spawn. She's going to have to, the D.Va player is going to have to pick D.Va as fast as possible, or maybe even Wrecking Ball, because you're going to be faster that way, and get back into the fight. That's so unfortunate, because Rampaging Inferno looked to be on their way to finishing the map, and then losing their D.Va puts a damper in all of that. Solar Flare now knows that they have to deal with, Solar Flare knows they are going to have to contend with a 5v6. That's really bad.
I gotta say, I definitely agree. These spawns, I think this is very much a flip of a coin. Rampaging Inferno have to kind of turn up the heat if they want to be able to stop Solar Flare from contesting. The way that they died meant that Solar Flare is going to be having people slowly trickle in rather than just as a big unit. So at least you have that focus, and you still have your Sombra, who's going to be able to shut down that Doomfist as they've been doing. I'm looking at a lot of what can happen, but I'm really scared because that can end their chances of being able to push in. I think once Rampaging Inferno loses momentum, they're not going to be getting it back in those 30 seconds.
Yeah, they had something like a minute something, so even if they lose this fight, they might be able to have another couple of fights in order to get themselves back in it. But yeah, it's very possible if Rampaging Inferno aren't able to push through, that could be it. And that is really, really disappointing if that's how Rampaging Inferno are going to lose this map, but we can't say it yet because obviously the map is still currently hanging in the balance.
Man, I almost feel like short on breath, not because I've been talking all day, but rather I'm so nervous. And with us going back this time, hitting 0, we've got to see what they do. Immediately going back into this fight, wanting to take out Fro, accidentally, and the Dragon still barely able to live. They have to use that rally just to be able to peel in and make a difference. There's a Wrecking Ball now on the point. They've lost the majority of their team, and it seems that Rampaging Inferno have squatted back up as a 6 to feel perfectly fine. Their Diva now returning, going to be able to help take out Jane Wall, and well, not much you're going to have in that capability. Only 6 seconds more, plus a minute, but that's absolutely crucial in Overwatch.
Yeah, so crucial. Rampaging Inferno, they managed to push it across even without their Diva for a lot of the end of that fight. Luckily, the fact that Solar Flare was mostly dead at that point does help. Even with a 5v... a 5v2 is just about as good as a 6v2 in Overwatch, so... you take that if you're Rampaging Inferno, and you have nearly a full minute of extra time. So it's going to come down, really, to Solar Flare here. How far can they get in this minute? Where are they going to set that golden box of victory? That is going to determine everything that I'm going to say from this point forward, whether Rampaging Inferno has a good or a bad chance. Big thing for me, you've got to stop someone on point A. Either Rampaging Inferno or Solar Flare were successful in their point A defenses. If Rampaging Inferno can adjust here and get the stop, that would be absolutely massive.
I gotta say, I'm not too confident on it. I feel both of these teams did absolutely amazing when it came to that first initial fight on to this point. Each of these teams were able to capture it immensely fast. The double shields weren't able to do much. However, this is now a dive-v-dive. It's not dive-v-double bubble, it's dive-v-dive. That makes a difference.
It does make a difference. Very, very pure dive coming out from both teams. So the meta for Route 66 has been set here. But again, we see that same DPS composition from Rampaging Inferno. The Sombra, the Reaper. So you're definitely potentially setting up for that final explosive fight, EMP Blossom to end it after you build up those ultimates.
They're already setting themselves up for a possible dive, and it seems that they were already prepared. That hack goes on to tick, though. That's an immediate punish. Now without their Tracer, nobody's going to be able to put in that little bit of damage. It seems they want to take the fight to them. Rampaging Inferno are trying to find out any opportunity for an early stagger. They get that hack onto Pyro, but then get punished as Blink, blinks in and then gets taken out. That's really unfortunate going into this 5v6 type of scenario. And as we see Solar Flare slowly moving in, they do that dive back onto the high ground. Hybrid goes into peel, but then Pulse has to translocate out just because, they start getting hit. Eventually, they do get taken up inside of the cafe, and the rest of the team are pushing back. They're really not going to be able to hold, and they are struggling.
Oh, you gotta touch, you gotta touch.
You gotta hit that anti. That was the closest C9, and that was absolutely terrifying. I didn't even notice if you didn't point it out. Rampaging Inferno still have a chance to try to hold this. We see that counter dive go in. That's a beautiful anti that lands down. And unfortunately enough, Rampaging Inferno lose their mech. They are being able to control over the point, popping out the high noon against Hybrid, who is a nanoed monkey, finishing them off and using a nano on their own Diva. They have so much sustain. there's just nothing that Rampaging Inferno could do, even using that rally, trying to just make a difference. But unfortunately enough, they're a little bit more prepared to not make that C9 again. And as your supports are alive, well, you're not going to be able to stop them. They keep pushing.
And Rampaging Inferno used so many ultimates to try and hold on to point A there. It doesn't happen, so now you don't have the nano boost, you don't have the rally to try and win this fight. You do have that EMP. That's really important. You have the Primal Rage and you have the Diva Bomb. That will be massive to try and finish this out. Even just forcing Solar Flare off the point for a second would be a win. Solar Flare in response, they have the Pulse Bomb and the Diva Bomb and the Rally, so there's quite a bit of tools that they have as well.
Out of every EMP, only lost on one. We'll have to see if that makes the difference. Solar Flare already playing so split, wanting to take this so early, means that they're already kind of countering it. This is a lot of space being given to Rampaging Inferno, and a lot of opportunities to look for that EMP. They wait till that bomb goes out, they manage to land it out, and unfortunately enough, they lose too. That only hits Jane, and they're just gonna wait, get that remake, and feel perfectly fine in the morning. Sure, Hybrid is using that Primal Rage to try to live a little bit longer and help out, but there's not much you're doing but wasting your own time to respawn.
This is a worst case scenario for Rampaging Inferno. You used the EMP, that was your fight winner, but it wasn't enough as Jane just launches a bomb into the back and finds two. So now Solar Flare are looking primed to take point B here, and that is what they're gonna do. We don't get a contest from Rampaging Inferno, and oh my gosh, look at the ults. You have Death Blossom, that's it. I mean, Blake has been good with them before, but this is really difficult to get it with just the Death Blossom and nothing else. Solar Flare, they're gonna have the High Noon, they're gonna have the Primal Rage, probably the Pulse Bomb and Nano Boost as well if they're able to you're able to get fast charges off of it.
They make that dive extremely early. Hybrid want to make a difference. They have this Death Blossom as a last defense ploy. This High Noon's going up against them, but Pillar Man is not going to be able to get it. They almost C9 once again as the Death Blossom immediately gets canceled. They're not going to get much out of it, and Blink's going to be punished for it. Now Jane's looking to make much of a difference. That's shattered.
Big anti.
I mean, it absolutely gets countered by that anti as you speak of. And now Solar Flare having the kind of player advantage. They just push forward. No matter how many times you hack them, they are just going to keep pushing.
Froji 50 with a massive anti-nade from the grave to, yeah, like you said, cancel out what was an effective shatter from Hybrid. And now Solar Flare, they're looking to push this in towards the end. Reminder, they had a minute on the clock.
And they are still not done to end it. They drop that bomb on the point, wanting to just move away Rampaging Inferno, but the sound barrier is there to help them stay alive for a little bit longer. It's now a very messy fight. If they get off that point for even a second, they will lose this instantly. That's why the Brigida is playing so close to home, but Skylar Hybrid falling down, falling down, falling down. We see that bomb just trying to make a crown, but it's not really going to do much. We see the remake kill, though, get Jade. Nice. Absolutely beautiful end to the rhyme. Now that with that EMP slowly helping Solar Flare, well, do nothing as Rampaging Inferno are getting those respawns with the slow kills. They're possibly being able to bring this back. This is so way, but Solar Flare, once again, they're getting a lot of consistent picks, even getting this High Noon very quickly, though on the opposite side of the payload, well, it misses out. LOS them for a little bit, even using that nano onto their monkey to help them push forward. Rampaging Inferno has not found anyone in all of this time. It's a raid boss as the Brigida looking like an absolute god in this game. It's just slowly finding you out. And with that rally, that's a signal of victory.
Wow.
That was a minute for 6.
That, I mean, how often do you see that? A team getting a full capture on an escort map with a minute on the clock. Rampaging Inferno, it looked like they had the advantage, but now the chances of winning have swung so far in Solar Flare's favor. 2 minutes on the clock. There's absolutely no way that Rampaging Inferno don't go down to overtime to try and win this here. It now comes down to them to once again fully complete the map. They did it faster than Solar Flare last time, but once again, now it's all about the clock, right? The clock is not on your side. You don't get more time as you unlock different parts of the map. So it's going to be all about wasting the time of Rampaging Inferno, making sure that they don't have the ability to get very far with the 2 minutes they have, and then getting that final decisive fight win can come anywhere on the map as long as they don't finish to take Solar Flare to a 2-1 advantage in this series. Can you believe it's still only map 3? I feel like we've been here forever.
I definitely have to agree, but did you just say it's all about? because it's all about the mechs, baby, the mechs. We're gonna be seeing Rampaging Inferno trying to bring in the mechs ability.
I didn't want to bring attention to it.
No, you can't. These ears hear everything, all right? But these eyes, they're ready to watch very intently. Double bubble for this defense. We've got this dive pulse on the Echo. They're no longer running out on that Sombra. They just seem to want to take the fight directly to Solar Flare. We already see them getting prepared as kind of a slow poke kind of moves in. Pulse, though, needing that Mercy absolutely immediately. That dive and counter dive kind of counteracting each other in a small bit. Jane able to get a bit of charge off of those pulse bombs, or rather sticky bombs. Rampage and Inferno, they have a tough challenge and a tough hurdle to go through. When Skylar falls down, that means they don't have an anti to kind of wild it out. So Pillar Man getting that trade, it means a little bit. And Blink getting ticked, that means a lot of it. And now, well, losing on Hybrid, that means even more. They traded in by rezzing out their own Ana, but it's still a big issue because they have no real tank to kind of protect them. The D.Va was D-mech, you didn't notice, so the rest of them being able to find out Jane Wall is absolutely astonishing. The Nano, though, managed to just barely land on to Pyro, is going to be able to help him move forward and look for any targets quite possible. Able to just basically take out 2, retreat, and fill 5. It's now a minute on the clock, and this long fight has just continuously stayed on to this point. Sure, Solar Flare are going to be going down, but they lowered that to as far as they could. Even managed to find Hybrid with that last second pulse bomb.
Yeah, like we were talking about, it's all about wasting time right now, and that was some great time wasting from Solar Flare, staying onto the point for as long as possible. Rampaging Inferno, they've got a few ultimates on board now. Really, everything except the Nano Boost will be coming up soon. But they still have to win this fight here to continue keeping the fight alive. We're probably going to be looking at overtime after this one.
That is a very inspirational kind of visor. That's a double-edged sword, if you don't mind me saying that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you thought Solar Flare were going to be pushing in. I understand it. They end up backing out after they lose a couple members. So, again, Solar Flare, they know they don't have to hold at point A. At this point, Rampaging Inferno, overtime has been triggered. So it's all about just getting one last decisive team victory, force them off the point for a second, and that's a map win.
They use the high noon to cancel out onto the copy pulse dangerously low. This is where Hybrid moves in, immediately gets anti. Has to use that primal range to make a difference, but wait, they got off the point for a second. They almost got off the point again! Now they're looking to throw out that bomb. The D.Va just barely managing to land. We see Jane Wall just sitting there looking for this Graviton Surge. Hybrid is gonna fall, but Pyro Dragon trades in. Unfortunately enough, Inferno no longer. No!
D.Va!
I can't.
She went up onto the top, and she was the one who was supposed to stay on the point.
I can't with you. I can't with them dividing.
They flirted with disaster so many times. I knew this was gonna end in a C9.
Solar Flare almost did that. Rampaging Inferno showed they almost did it, and then they did it. What are you looking for? You have to stay on the point. You're now down a point.
I'm getting a headache.
We're going to 2CP next. You need that point. 2CP is not a map that you want to lose.
No, that is potentially backbreaking there for Rampaging Inferno. I mean, it was going to be an uphill battle no matter what after Solar Flare got that second map completion, but man, that is a heartbreaking way to lose it.
I've never felt so sad in my life to end that. I was getting so into it. I was like, no way, the D.Va's gonna touch on the point just fast enough. I won't even mention that they're off the point. And I live to regret it because Solar Flare, they have been pushing forward. They were probably going to end up winning regardless because they were slowly winning in that fight.
Yeah, it was probable. It was something like 5-4 in Solar Flare's favor. So it was probably going to be them coming out on top at the end, but
it's more like 5-3. I think.
I'd rather them lose after having everyone die than lose like that.
I'd rather them have a DCing player and they just never show up again, and that's how they lose. But I gotta say, absolutely impressive. We got to see some little bit of stats. You're not gonna be able to see them, but I want to talk about them a little bit. Pulse got around 62 hacks, and that's absolutely impressive. I don't really think I've ever seen a Sombra get 62. I mean, 62 hacks in one single game. That's absolutely astonishing. And then Skylar, who got the kind of card for the most damage taken, 23%. That's just rude. That you know how much focus they're putting into.
Yeah, absolutely crazy stuff coming out. The 62 hacks from Pulse is insane. It's just he was just on the Sombra the whole time and was getting so much value out of those hacks every single time. We talk about how they're over-reliant on the Sombra, but maybe that's how it's supposed to be. Maybe that's how Solar Flare designed. Maybe that's how they designed it. Sorry, that's Rampaging Inferno, who have been playing a lot of Sombra. But maybe that's how they designed it. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for them this time around, but it has caused them a lot of issues.
This is going to be a big moment to see if that's going to absolutely destroy their mentals. I think C9 by far is the biggest mental killer in any type of game, because you have to be sitting to yourself thinking, why wasn't I on point? Why did I have to die? Why did I have to throw that bomb? Why did I have to remech? So many opportunities. But with the next map being a, 2CP, I think this is absolutely scary for both sides, especially since it's going to be both of their favorite maps. It's going to be Temple of Anubis dividing.
Yeah, like you mentioned, this is the favorite 2CP map for both these teams. So really interested to see what kind of compositions they have dreamed up for this. Obviously, it's actually very similar to what we may have seen on Route 66, where there's a lot of double shield played on defense, and then there's a lot of dive and double bubble played on offense. And then in second point, you see a lot more of the brawl as things get a lot more close range, sort of closed in, that kind of stuff. This was the Rampaging Inferno pick, of course. So I'm going to be very curious to see what kind of compositions they have dreamed up for this one. I feel like, I don't know, I don't love it, because the more I'm thinking about it, the more I feel like Anubis is set up very much the same compositionally as Route 66 is. And you just saw them lose Route 66.
I definitely have to agree. I think fundamentally it's a lot of long sight angles that enemy teams have to walk into, and that's the point that's really big to focus on. If that's what they have to worry about. I think Temple of Anubis is always that 50-50 split. I don't really think it matters too much on skill. I think it just matters on luck and how ready you are to roll the dice of destiny. Try to find any natural 20s or fall to the natural ones. Solar Flare have been looking very good, getting those 18 pluses on the DCs. So now I'm more worried, can Rampaging Inferno bring it back? Because their double shield did not really work. I think Dive is by far better, but Solar Flare, they looked absolutely gorgeous on it.
Yeah, I mean, and I think we're talking about Solar Flare as if they have this massive advantage, right?
Yeah.
Both these two maps were incredibly close, right? We had King's Row, which came down to the last fight, and Route 66, that was looking incredibly good. Incredibly close for both teams until Solar Flare went on a massive streak and got all the way through and completed the map a second time. As long as Rampaging Inferno were able to sort of mentally reset from the C9, get themselves back in the game, Anubis could very easily go in their favor. We could find ourselves tied up at 2 once again. I would not be shocked at all.
Yeah, I also feel as if they should put a lot of more resources into Skylar. Skylar was dying so much last game, and it was a bit unfortunate because a lot of those dives were putting pressure onto them. And, you need your Baptiste, you need your Ana to be able to have that main healer to kind of help you out. As much as Brig or Lucio is going to be able to sustain you long term, it's not really going to help you out. And on a map like this, you're most likely going to be getting a Mercy. Now, it's kind of your main support, while your flex support is probably either the Ana or Baptiste. Those two favoritism. Sometimes you see the Zen played because they like to run out with the Wrecking Ball. Weirdly enough, I've seen it work. I don't know why, but we're just gonna have to be prepared. Dividing. So far, I want to take a moment. I want to give a little bit more love to some players. Has there been anybody that has just been shining out to you so far in the series?
Yeah, I mean, on the side of Solar Flare, I've got to say, Tiki Totem has been a guy that I've been really impressed with so far. Has been consistently one of those pop-off DPS players for this squad. Has done a lot of work. And also Froji Fizzy. I've got to give a shout out to the flex support Ana player as well. Has especially at the end of that Route 66 map, definitely stood out to me, getting some clutch sleeps. There was a point, I don't think we touched on it, where the opposing Winston had gotten nano boosted and got put in. Afroji Fizzy got a clutch sleep on that Winston, and then the High Noon came in from the Cassidy in order to take out that nano boost and the Primal. One ability nullifies 2 ultimates. That's the kind of impactful play that you want out of your flex support.
Yeah, you're definitely right on that sense. At least for me, I can't really put my finger onto any player that I've seen truly shining besides from Tick. I think Tick has just absolutely been increasing that damage layout to be very much kind of evening out these fights when it comes to those pressures. But on the other side, Rampaging Inferno's on main tank has been shining up a lot. Those dives, just being able to walk in, back on when we were playing Lee Jang Tower and on King's Row, the Rhine wasn't too bad. And as you see that side swap, we're going to be seeing Solar Flare rather choose that defense, while Rampaging Inferno, they have to push in. That is setting a condition.
Yes, very much setting a condition here. Solar Flare, they seem very confident in their ability to really just stop Rampaging Inferno early on. And that could be huge. Once again, I think maybe, especially as we get into these sort of long, grueling series, the mental game becomes very important. Can you get these guys tired? Can you get them discouraged? And I think Solar Flare are going to try, if they could shut down Rampaging Inferno right after forcing them to C9 on the last map, that would be all but back-breaking for these guys.
Yeah, more than anything, Overwatch, I like to say, is 1/3 of a mental game. And it's really a lot of focus you have to put on your players and your humans. So you got to make sure to take care of yourself, or else you're never going to be able to win a series, no matter how talented you are. But I think what I'm just waiting for besides this map is the new Pokemon games to release. I got a lot to do when those come out. I just want to, fill in that time while we wait for the map to come in, just to say I'm getting Shining Pearl for myself.
I gotta love the 4th generation Pokemon games. That's what I grew up with personally. So that's the first Pokemon game that I ever completed. I don't have a Switch myself, but I would probably get Brilliant Diamond if I had it, because I had Diamond at first. And Dialga was my first ever legendary Pokemon. Special place in my heart.
That's absolutely beautiful. Mine's is Lugia. I slowly got it so I can go catch Lugia again. Follow down the train. I wonder what Rampaging Inferno. Maybe they like something like Moltres, something red and hot. While Solar Flare, I don't really think there is a Sun Pokemon that is a legendary that they would really enjoy. Maybe that's why they picked Temple of Anubis. It's a really hot map, so maybe that powers them up. The more sun that they get, the more they're going to be able to long-term survive. However, we finally have the opportunity just to go in. This can be the final set just to see who will be able to take this series. Will Rampaging Inferno tie it up once more? Will Solar Flare continue to put it back onto the kind of ending and make us have a last-second push? This is going to be Double Shield versus a possible mobile Double Shield. I've never seen this version of the Rhine Brawl.
Yeah, it's just it's a brawl comp, but you're putting together a second shield instead of that defense matrix. It's a little it's a little easier to use. Instead of just trying to time those abilities out, you can just put the shield up in front of your face and forget about it for a second. It also allows the Sigma to play a little bit more offensively. You're able to get a lot more mid-range spam damage with the hyperspheres that are AoE. So I'll be very curious to see how Dash is going to deal with it right now. I'm not sure if that's the play, though. I really do feel like D.Va is just more consistent with the defense matrix. But if you can close the distance on this double shield comp, it'll hardly matter.
Yeah, they use that wall. Absolute beautiful way to get that free rotation in without letting your shields be broken down. The unfortunate part is that you still have to rotate into them. As much as you have a double shield against their double shield, Solar Flare have so much poke, it's absolutely oppressive. You have no Symmetra to help you teleport around. So as they wait for Tibcon to be able to get that speed boost, and then they can just walk into you, they use that E to absorb so much damage. The Orisa just barely able to stay on top of the high ground, eventually having to fall. They're not really losing much damage until Pyro Dragon eventually gets frozen and then moved around. We see Rampaging Inferno continuously pressing that W. Blink's the only one who technically takes a load of damage and the first one to go down. But similar on Pillar Man, we're seeing the rest of Rampaging Inferno somewhat collapse underneath. They split up for a tiny second, and that seemed to be the opportunity that the rest of Solar Flare were looking for. They even got that nice clean headshot at the end.
Yeah, Tiki Totem was pretty much undisturbed in the back and was able to get so much value. Look, already 90% to the Bob. Just shows how much damage they were putting into that fight, and that's what I'm talking about. Rampaging Inferno, they need to be able to quickly close the distance on this double shield comp in order to win. They could not close the distance on Tiki Totem in time. In Solar Flare, they managed to continue to hold, and now they have ultimates. Bob, Gravitic Flux, probably a Supercharger, and Valkyrie as well coming up. Rampaging Inferno, for their part, will have both Tank Ults and the Ant Matrix.
For once in my life, I'm going to tell chat to clip it and get ready to clip this as that shatter goes right past them, hits the DPS. They're not going to be able to follow up, and that Bongo is going to be playing against it. But Tick and Pyro, they fall down. There's not much that you can do. You're losing that crown. As we see the rest of Rampaging Inferno, they're going to be able to bring this back. Even if that Bob is there on the point, we see the High Noon getting set. And Cassidy, well, headshots down, just like in the cinematic. We're not going to be seeing anything happen. And, well, I'm more impressed that composition truly worked out as well. Maybe I was downplaying it a little bit too much.
Yeah, Rampaging Inferno did a much better job that time of being able to close the distance on Solar Flare. Even though they used all their ultimates, pretty much everything that they had, it wasn't enough because their front line just got run over by Hybrid and Dash. So, and it was pretty cheap as well. You're going to be going in with the Gravitic Flux and the Blizzard to follow up on it, as well as the Beat in order to sustain yourself through the damage of Solar Flare. This is very snowballable.
I definitely have to agree. We see that Gravitic Flux slams down, finishes off the High Noon before they can find anything. Ultimate in their favor. That Res managing to bring back Crow for a little bit, but the Junkrat really has nothing to do against this sound barrier, absolutely shutting them down. Now they just need to start getting ticks. They wait for people to go down. It seems that Pillar Man's going to be able to come back, take up Blink with that uppercut. Absolutely beautiful play. Now with the slam, they are bringing in the contest. So this is becoming more of a pressure of Solar Flare needing to just stop him. That first take is taken as Hybrid come back. They have the Shatter just to drop. Goes down, hits the Diva, but they were already being DMA'd. Now the rest of the side of Solar Flare, they're not going to be able to do much. They do have this Riptide, which focuses down on Skylar, and Doomfist comes back in. It seems that just barely the DPS are going to be able to help bring it back and save them before it was over.
Gotta love 2CT maps. You gotta love how Solar Flare can win pretty much 2 full fights, and then still, just by getting a pick and then a second pick, Rampaging, Solar Flare managed to get back into it. So, Rampaging Inferno now, they've depleted their entire ult bank for a very long fight and didn't get too much out of it. Solar Flare, they're gonna have actually not as much either. It's just going to come down to the neutral. And so, yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on Pillar Man here. If you can get a one-shot kill with that punch, with the Seismic Slam, that would be absolutely massive, especially before Blink and Pulse get their ults online.
Yeah, I definitely agree. We're already seeing them get a bit more prepared. That High Noon kind of moving in, hoping to find out anybody. It immediately gets eaten. That's a bit unfortunate. With the rest of the team on the side of Rampaging Inferno absolutely low, they begin to just crumble underneath their own weight. They still have a lot of time, but it is going to be only incredibly difficult against this type of composition.
And now this is getting really difficult. Rampaging Inferno had the ability to snowball on the first point. Now that opportunity has all but passed, and Rampaging Inferno are getting stuffed at the gates here. Solar Flare, they're going to have every ultimate except the Valkyrie available in this fight to them. Rampaging Inferno, to their part, should have everything except for the High Noon, but that's going to come in a bit. They still have to build up a bit.
They wait for that Gravitic Flux after the Shatter just to kind of counterplay, combined with their own Blizzards. A lot of ultimates used sporadically. That Riptide is going to be able to focus down on the Sigma while the bomb picks up any people left. Unfortunately enough, Rampaging Inferno, they used a lot of ults with no clear direction, and that's going to cost them.
Yeah, you need to be fight planning a little bit more there if you're Rampaging Inferno. I know a lot of times in Overwatch, everyone pressing Q at the same time is enough to win, but when the other team is also pressing Q at the same time, that isn't quite as effective. It comes down to who is a little more practiced with it, a little more disciplined, and Solar Flare let go of their ultimate second. That is what allows them to push forward. Rampaging Inferno, they swap onto the Reaper now. Again, I feel like maybe a little bit too late. I don't see, unless Blink gets some crazy value in this fight, I'm not sure how the Death Blossom is going to get built up that early. You're just going to be depending on that extreme close range damage. And really, you have to deal with Tiki Totem and Pillar Man. They have been nuisances to you this whole time, and really, I don't know how this is going to fix that.
Yep, now we're looking to see how they try to make any difference. Pillarman being gone, well, doesn't even matter, as the Mercy is going to be the one following up on the picks, finishing off that Reaper, and the rest of them continue to move forward. Unfortunately enough, it seems Rampaging Inferno very much struggle at taking these angles.
I mean, when you go in that deep on Doomfist, you know you're going for a 1-for-1 trade. Oh, wow. Okay. Dash goes in to maybe try and get a little bit extra percentage. That's not good. I don't know why you do that if you're Dash, because now you're staggered out. And you have to wait even longer to get your final fight here. Rampaging Inferno, they're going to have to hurry back to the point. Look at how far back the Diva is from the rest of her team. This is a 4v6 right now.
You're telling me they have to try to touch? They do manage to hit it, but the Baptiste already in a struggling spot. They have to try to make something out of this with this slam. That shatter is going to be going in. The Doomfist being able to pressure out, eventually find out Skylar, the rest of Solar Flare. They feel pretty happy and skippity fine, even being able to win out that 1v1. The cleanup is there. Though that sound barrier pretty nice and funky fresh just to be able to keep them up for a little longer. I think we both realized there is a Riptire here. And if there was anybody left alive, they would have been killed. Luckily enough, Rampaging Inferno able to get that tick, so they at least set themselves up to hold this, but still not able to finish anything out.
No, you're not able to finish the point. That is really bad for Rampaging Inferno, because Solar Flare have looked very decisive right now on their defense, and if they can match that level of decisiveness on their offense, really all they need are 2 good fights. First one to get first point, second one to get second point. Really at this point, it doesn't... the 2 CP bonus for the defense is nullified by the fact that you only took about half of the point. So, Solar Flare really with 1 good decisive fight on point B, they'll be able to take it. I think Rampaging Inferno's best chance is going to be a full hold here. And I'm not sure what they're going to do to try and bring that out. You're going to bring out the Brawl. Okay, the Brawl with the For Mercy, which I think we saw from this team on Lijiang Tower, and it didn't work out too well for them. I'm nervous.
Dividing, I'm more than nervous. I've lost my legs. You know, so my blood sugar's increasing.
Should get that looked at.
Listen, all right. Diabetes is no joke. I've lost my legs. All right. I can no longer hold how sweet these matches are going. I just wanted to put that reference in. My grandma has it. Absolutely love her to death. Either way, I'm very worried to see how this is going to kind of affect them. It's not really good to kind of poke them out, and, well, they're running double bubble, so at least you have that spam. We're already seeing them get set as they immediately walk up the stairs, getting more prepared. They notice the Pharah is there, so they just wait their turn. That Auntie's going to be there to heal. They're now walking into the small room, not even going to care. But look at that Pulse already taking a very nice angle, looking to burst them down as much as they can. Gets healed. It seems Solar Flare aren't going to be having much to their own name as they just get punished for it simply existing.
Yeah, alright, so the Pharah, I think, has caught Solar Flare off guard here. Pulse already with the barrage has got so much spam damage in, and now Solar Flare, they have to try and figure out how they're going to counter this. Their solution is an Echo Mercy, so we're going to have a little bit of an air dogfight here between Tiki Totem and Barkley and Pulse and Tibcon, and honestly, I give the advantage to Echo here. She's a lot more maneuverable in the air.
Definitely agree. Now with this barrage setting up, it lands right down on top of 3. Pulse, it's just not that, necessary. They were split from their team. They didn't have much to their name. Oh my.
That was a direct hit on Echo and Mercy. That was insane. And yeah, I mean, when you get the barrage up that quickly without any chance for the other team to get ultimates, that's just gonna happen. You're gonna win that other fight. And now, you know the barrage isn't there anymore, at least if you're Solar Flare, so you can pretty much get back into focusing on the neutral fight. And again, Pulse is absolutely the #1 priority. You can't let him just chunk down your tanks like you did in the first fight, or else we're going to end up with another barrage and we're going to be in an infinite loop pretty much.
Yep, that dive comes in with the Nano. The rest of the team wanting to do as much as they can, but being out really damaged. It seems it's just what they need. Rampaging Inferno now collapsing underneath their own weight. The Far even killing themselves. They have nobody left to kind of defend on top. So Solar Flare are going to be happy that they finally got that out. Now they only need to tech onto second point, which is by far the easiest thing to do. That stall only works for so well, and I think as we saw Route 66, no stall is better than a Solar Flare stall.
And it's, oh no, this is looking really good for Solar Flare, actually. Look at the ultimates right now. You have the High Noon and the Valkyrie already. You're coming up on the Primal Rage and the duplicate right after. Rampaging Inferno, they have ultimates as well. But if Solar Flare can convert on these ultimates quickly, especially with Dash sleeping, that's gonna slow them down a little bit. This could very easily, oh, look at this. This is so good. You forced out both the Amp Matrix and the Tac Visor. You just back up, and that is 2 ultimates that are wasted for Rampaging Inferno. Now Solar Flare, they have the advantage. They can go in without fear.
They're going in without hesitation. That bomb's there, manages to finish out the D, but the Primal combined with the Nano is already displacing the rest of their team. And unfortunately enough, that Bird 6 there, nobody else is on the point. They're too focused on the monkey. It's not about the monkey, Spider-Man. It's about Solar Flare. As they take the lead, they're going to be taking that point right off of 2
Stop
CP.
doing that.
I don't think I will. They take the lead, and my goodness, Solar Flare are now at match point. 3-1.
That was decisive from Solar Flare, and I have to say, that was so smart. That was so smart of them. They push in a little bit on main, they force out the Tac Visor Amp Matrix combo, they back up until it's over, and then they go in. That is the mark of an incredibly experienced team who is ult tracking. They know what Rampaging Inferno want to do, and they are able to counter it just through some really smart gameplay. Solar Flare absolutely deserved that win, and now all of a sudden, Intel, we find ourselves at match point. Solar Flare now have 3 chances to get themselves that GitGud victory.
Yeah, and I gotta say, bringing up just some little stats that we were given, Tick was doing absolute work. Over 10k damage, basically did 30% worth of the team's damage as a Junkrat. That's basically much more than I really expect at times, while Fro on the other side was taking that damage, 32%, but we really didn't see them dying that often, while we did see the tanks and B want to be able to do as much as they can. 19 kind of K damage and around 20 offensive assists, and I mean those work, but you're not really getting much out of it. And man, I felt like a tier 3 coach for a second. I just sat there like, so why do you think you do that? You know, why do you think you use that ultimate as they walk in and then they leave? How does that feel?
It feels bad, actually. I don't like it when my ultimates don't actually end up meaning anything. So yeah, I mean, the Solar Flare did a fantastic job there. Being very adaptable, right? You had the Pharah thrown in your face at the end there by Rampaging Inferno. That was kind of their win condition. It works very well for a couple of fights, and then they adjust. They bring out the Echo to challenge the Pharah in the air. They're able to get that kill, and then they're able to snowball that to an eventual map win. That, I think, is what separates the good teams from the great teams, right? Being able to adjust on the fly, pick and counter pick to counter your opponents. That is, in the end, Overwatch is just like the world's most complicated game of rock, paper, scissors.
Man, I could not put it into better words, but I guess what I can do in the meantime is let you know to stay tuned in. We're going to be going to another short break, give these teams a little bit to breathe because it's at match point, and I'm pretty sure we all want to see who's going to be bringing it out. Let's make sure they get that mental reset, and make sure you stay tuned in because we'll be right back with GitGud NA.
control it. You know your lips are golden, baby, get me high. Touching me like lightning, yeah, keeping it exciting. You know exactly what to do to blow my mind. You're from another planet. I've never felt like this. I don't know how I ever survived without it. I'm starry-eyed, got me upside down, spinning around you. Wanna taste the clouds, dance with the moonlight. Take a trip around your body, boy, I love the way you got me. Starry-eyed, got me starry-eyed. This bed is out of space, just keep painting constellations. You cover me in glitter till I'm shining bright. I never wanna leave the sky. The way you made me feel alive. I was in the dark and baby, you're the light. You're from another planet. I've never felt like this. I don't know how I ever survived without it. I'm starry-eyed, got me upside down, spinning around you. Wanna taste the clouds, dance with the moonlight. Take a trip around your body, boy, I love the way you got me. Starry-eyed, got me starry-eyed. Couldn't fight if I wanted, flying to places that I never thought I could go. You're a meteor shower, falling down all over me, yeah, you're making me glow. Couldn't fight if I wanted, flying to places that I never thought I could go. Starry-eyed, got me starry-eyed. Yeah, got me upside down, spinning around you. Wanna taste the clouds, dance with the moonlight. Take a trip around your body, boy, I love the way you got me. Starry-eyed, got me starry-eyed. Got me upside down, spinning around you. Wanna taste the clouds, dance with the moonlight. Take a trip around your body, boy, I love the way you got me. Starry-eyed, got me starry-eyed. Got me upside down, spinning around you. Wanna taste the clouds, dance with the moonlight. Take a trip around your body, boy, I love the way you got me.
Man, oh man, this has been one long night, day. I don't know. When are you guys watching? You'll have to let me know either way. We are still back here with Solar Flare versus Rampaging 1nferno. At match point, especially, it's now a 3 versus a 1. And that means a lot. And especially because our last map we're going to be going back to control dividing, and more than anything, it's Busan.
Yeah, Busan is a very interesting map for Rampaging Inferno to bring out here for their map pick. Again, from this point forward, Rampaging Inferno, their backs are against the wall. They have map pick, but if they lose another one of them, that is it. Solar Flare are going to be taking the GitGud Rookie Division Championship. So this is crucial. Everything after this is crucial. It doesn't get any better than this for Solar Flare. And again, I feel like I have to bring up the history for those of you who weren't here at the start of this. These teams actually played together in the regular season. Rampaging Inferno at the time beat Solar Flare 3-0. This is a complete role reversal to what happened back then, and Solar Flare have looked like they have grown quite a bit from them if their play on Anubis was anything to go off of.
I think both of these teams are going into this match trying to play as hard as they can. However, it's going to make the difference after this. I think they've definitely been trying to at least push themselves farther. And definitely one side have been showing that they have been going above and beyond, screaming as much as they can, and have learned from their experience to be able to kind of bring this into a closer series than I think we ever truly expected. Especially with this day being drenched in 4-0s. I was almost kind of a little bit more expecting the 4-0, but I'm a little bit more happy it's not ending like that. I am still terrified, though, because Busan is a control map, and we saw how that ended on Lijiang Tower. So, will history repeat itself?
It is, I don't know. We just are going to have to go in to see it at a kind of unfortunate sequence there where we were told the teams were ready, and then we went back to stream only to be told the teams were no longer ready. So you're just gonna have to look at our faces for a little bit longer here Busan opens things up a lot for the dive compositions that we saw actually Solar Flare have a lot of success with before. Both Shrine and Downtown are very open maps with very long sight lines, so those dive comps, those double bubble comps, those sniper comps, are we going to see snipers? We saw a little bit of Ashe. We haven't seen any Widowmaker yet today. That'd be a crazy sort of out of right field kind of pick to bring into the mix here. As now we do come in on Busan, and we are going to be starting off Downtown. So if there's any place we're going to see a sniper, it might be here because, of course, we have that kind of sniper's perch at the top of the building on both sides. But Rampaging Inferno instantly pulse locks a Sombra. This is what has gotten them the most success so far in the series, and they are going to live and die by this composition. Solar Flare, for their part, though, they're going to be copying it. Instead of a Brawl comp, though, they're going Rush, a 6-man composition. Actually, Rampaging Inferno, they're going to go ahead and match them. They were running Brawl before. Now it's going to be Rush instead with the Winston and the Moira. So it's a mirror matchup here. It's going to be big to see who between Pillarman and Pulse can get off a hack first, and will it be impactful, because that's what's going to be the go button.
And seeing Pirate Dragon's the one who's going to be hacked first. Hybrid able to move forward. You're not going to be able to beat a team on a mirror when they've been playing it all night.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the play for Solar Flare. You've seen Rampaging Inferno play these Sombra compositions. You know they're good at them. So why try and match them here? Why not go with something that's a little more pokey, a little slower, to try and deal with that early fight aggression, be able to deal with it early, instead of trying to go up against Rampaging Inferno on the comp that you know they're the best at.
It's a little bit of a mix. Pillar, though, is going to be hacked and eventually taken out. That's a little bit unfortunate. They're not going to have this Sombra, so trying to rely on their own dive in this Brawl-esque type of composition, they are struggling to keep themselves up. Pirate Dragon eventually going to fall through, not going to have much success. But you see the rest of the side just eventually melt down. Pulse even look to just finish off the Reaper and Lucio, who want to escape as fast as they can. Well, they're not the gingerbread man, and they're just going to go back to their spawn room.
Double boop. Not sure if TibCon got the boops on purpose or if it was just getting the extra kills for people who were going over the edge anyways, but gotta love to see that in the kill feed here. And Rampaging Inferno, they're in such a strong position now as we finally get to see some swaps coming out from Solar Flare. Sticky Totems on the Tracer now, but I'm not sure how well it's going to be able to deal with it, especially with both Sombras having EMP this fight.
I don't know. Pulse gets taken out early, so the rest of Rampaging Inferno, they have to make the difference, so they push forward, and the moment that point starts getting hit because of the Tracer, they just immediately go back. They feel perfectly fine, though losing out. TibCon may be an issue later down the line. It's still going to be harder for Solar Flare to move in.
The aggression from Rampaging Inferno, what has been so good on this map here. Solar Flare, they just don't seem as good. They don't seem as practiced on this kind of composition, these sort of extremely fast jumping, get a hack and jumping kind of things.
Yep, they're pushing forward, able to get a nice hack. That EMB though, managing to trade in. The sound barrier just comes in perfectly just to be able to defend them. Blink also gets hacked mid-Death Blossom, a little bit more unfortunate. Rampaging Infernos though at kind of a disadvantage, losing out that Lucio very early, so getting that trade onto Tick is absolutely phenomenal. The rest of Solar Flare looking to just try to bring this back, but they don't have a Graviton Surge. Pyro's coming back with the Primal Rage. There's not really much for them to do, so they have to just start popping out those abilities, hoping they can make a change. Hybrid has to use that Primal Rage as they almost went down. Blink just barely almost able to die, but then Pirate Dragon's gonna fall beforehand. Almost very familiar to what we saw in Lijiang Tower, especially with this bomb being the ability that finishes it off. We are going to be seeing Rampaging Inferno take this.
That's about as dominant as it gets from Rampaging Inferno, and that is why they choose Busan. They're super confident in their Sombra comps. That includes the 6-man rush, and Solar Flare, they tried to mirror it. It didn't work out for them. So now we move on to Mecha Base. This is actually really good for Rampaging Inferno. This kind of follows, we're going to see Reinhardt's here instead of Winston, but it follows the same basic kind of strategy, and Solar Flare are probably going to be forced to mostly mirror it once again. We do see Tiki Totem go on to the Hanzo, so we have a little bit more of a mid-range comp compared to the close-range comp of Rampaging Inferno, but other than that, it's going to be pretty much mirrors coming out from both sides.
Yep. They're getting set up. This might be where Solar Flare brings in the heat as they're playing back onto the Hanzo, looking to use her Storm Rebels to break down the shields the moment they go down. Now we're seeing Rampaging Inferno. They kind of help to break down Pyro's own shield, which ends up losing on Pillar Man. So with the rest of the team now pushing forward, hoping to try to make that even trade. They need one if they want to stay in this fight. That Reaper's on the top spot, being able to put in that damage and aggressively force them back into their own spawn. They're less at 30, it breaks, and now they have nothing left. So when they're reconvening, we already see the split going on to Rampaging Inferno. Somebody needs to be capping that point, so they have to use that window to make up that difference. It does help to take out Tick, and they walk in with the Shatter. I mean, it hits like half the team, and they use the Immortality on the side of Solar Flare just to defend themselves. So I mean, that's a way to make a statement.
What's weird about Solar Flare there is that instead of just going for a full reset, they kept kind of half fighting into a brawl comp that was clearly pushing in. They wouldn't be able to win that. Now, they are coming in depleted and Rampaging Inferno. They're gonna just take advantage. Solar Flare did not have the strategy they needed to really push into that fight. And with the EMP from Pulse, that's going to be a very quick fight win for Rampaging Inferno. So now 33% and counting for them, and they look in full control. But now Solar Flare, this is a good opportunity for them. You have Earth Shatter, you have Beat as well as Dragon Strike coming up, and they are going to do the right thing and go somewhere else to try and get around Solar Flare.
They walk directly to the point, and they're even going to pop out the Dragon. With Pulse being gone, there's no worry of a hack, so the Bomb plus Blossom is looking to make up that trade. Those Swirls on Sound Barrier is helping enough after that Shatter of Pyro. They're able to slowly move on, make sure that they secure this point at 59%. They want to bring this back.
Yep, 59% for Rampaging Inferno is where it's going to stop in Solar Flare. Now actually looking to be in a pretty decent position. Now you get to have Tiki Totem really just spam arrows into these choke points where Solar Flare want to try and push in. That could be extremely good. But Rampaging Inferno now, they're going to push back in. They have Shatter and Beat available.
Yep, we already see this bomb pop out. More of just an LOS, and this Reaper so far deep in doesn't have that rape to be able to escape. That's gonna hurt. But it seems that Solar Flare just let that Shatter hit them, jump a little too high, and you get punished for it. That Pyro Dragon is gonna be falling back to the spawn room. Same with the rest of their team. Rampaging Inferno with this recapture are looking to take this into a one-fight scenario.
Yeah, especially with how long these fights have been going, this could very easily be the last good fight that Solar Flare gets. They have Dragon Strike, but they don't have a Reinhardt. That could be brutal. They're now gonna have to back up here and really just regroup for one last good fight. That's unfortunate. Tiki Totem gets rid of the Dragon Strike there. You don't have it anymore. So you're just focused on the Shatter and the High Noon from Pillar Man to try and get you an advantage here. And you get a kick on the dash. That's a good start.
It's an amazing start, especially now being in this 1-5 territory. We see that High Noon go out, manages to finish off the Lucio. And now with Pulse being so far back, that Shatter's going to be able to help to land. Oh my goodness! Fire Dragon's able to make that little dang difference, going to be able to push forward. Though this is at 99%. Rampaging Inferno are looking terrifying right now with those 3 ultimates.
Yeah, you only need one more good fight for Rampaging Inferno to get a second map on the board, and you have that all-important EMP Death Blossom combo. Swirl Sparkly doesn't have the beat yet. You don't have a really good way to deal with it, so Solar Flare, they're going to go aggressive.
Yep, they are immediately walking in to their enemy team. They want to try and do their best to help win, but that EMP is absolutely beautiful. Combined with the Blossom being able to move forward, they make those trades that were absolutely needed. That bomb, it gets shielded. That that Cassidy, they get 2 picks, but even then, it's just not enough. That's the recapture. We're going to be seeing the stalls come in. That Wrecking Ball wanting to make what they can to touch, just barely able to hit it. That Sound Barrier there, just to be able to peel, but the rest of the team now falling in on the side of Solar Flare. Want to be able to do the best that they can. Rampaging Inferno have the target focus necessary to be able to break down Jane's own mech. And with the Tracer being the last person to contest, holy moly, we're possibly looking at an opportunity of a reverse sweep as Rampaging Inferno take the point, getting close to that tie of 3-3. Right now, it's only 3-2.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta take it one map at a time, right? Solar Flare, they have 3 opportunities at map point. That was their first one, didn't work out. They still have 2 more here, and it's going to be their map pick. For their part, though, Rampaging Inferno, this was a fantastic map pick for them, I have to say. They did a great job of choosing a map that really forced, or didn't really force, but it played extremely well to their somber compositions. Solar Flare tried to opt into the mirror at first, didn't work out. Then they tried to play a little bit off to them, also didn't work out just because Mecha Base is so good for those close range somber plays, and Solar Flare decided to go with something a little more mid-range. So Rampaging Inferno with a very smart map pick get themselves a second win in the series, but now they have to contend with Solar Flare's map pick and map 6 of this series.
Yeah, and I gotta say, they stepped up their pushing and just power to a high degree. They were able to manage to get, the Winston was able to get 74% worth of the elimination participation throughout that entire map, only as the Monkey, which is absolutely amazing. Skylar as well, getting around 69% of that damage taken. That means Skylar was being able to live from literal rockets being thrown at them, you know, like a whole force of God trying to shut them down. And then, well, Lucio's going to be able to kind of clean things up, 58% in the kill participation. So that means the majority of that coming in throughout the entire map, I think, was those 2 being able to get those picks. But, we're in a very curious position here dividing.
We're in a very curious position. I do believe it's going to be an escort map coming up next for map 6. That is Solar Flare's pick. And their favorite map, their favorite escort map, Dorado, has not been played yet. That is very much on the board, and that would really play into their sort of divey compositions that we've seen them play a lot today. I think it would be a very good pick to go Dorado with the next map here.
Maybe that's why they didn't pick it out first. They knew they could win on King's Row, even though it was extremely close. So, Dorado, I think, works very well to their favor. Shadow Dive is good on any map, but it is increasingly harder to run on a good level on most maps, especially something like Dorado, where that Pharah double shield compositions that slow you down work to their finest. I'm more interested to see how we're going to kind of pick the map, because what if we don't go to Dorado? What if they just decide to go Hail Mary and not pick their favorite map?
Yeah, I mean, what other maps are out there that you could potentially pick? I mean, Rialto's out there. It is going to be Rialto. That's interesting. Rialto is Rampaging Inferno's favorite escort map. and Solar Flare are going to take them there. That is very interesting. You have to be really confident in whatever composition you have to take Rampaging Inferno to their favorite escort map. I think this is a bit of a gamble from Solar Flare right now. You are looking at potentially some double shield compositions. That's worked out well for them in the past. Brawl could work really well, which which Rampaging Inferno loves. Potentially something a little more long-range snipey, just because one of the longest sight lines in the game, one of the toughest high grounds to deal with, exists on Rialto Point B. There's a lot of opportunity here for both teams.
Yeah, I gotta say, I had to look up to the sky. I didn't really believe when you said Rialto at first. I know that I put out that question of the hesitance, like, oh, what if they didn't pick Rialto? But I was really expecting Dorado, not a map that Rampaging Inferno puts on their favorite list. I mean, Rialto very much is that popular map. You explained in very good detail to why it's so nice and why it's so fun to be able to play on. And I think some people have fond memories of it going back to the Overwatch Infiltration event, or the archives as it's known as a little. Where we're going to get that side swap. Solar Flare rather kind of going to be on the attack, where Rampaging Inferno, I am terrified. I really expect them to try to do this full hold spawn, and it's going to possibly work to varying success. They did look really good, kind of going back to what we were talking about in Busan, but maybe Solar Flare are just really uncomfortable on a map like that.
Yeah, very comfortable, and it looks like oh, actually, no. Sorry. That was our producer asking that. So it wasn't an answer. So we don't know what sides the teams are going to be going with next, as I'm sure they are coming in. The pressure, it continues to build here as Rampaging Inferno. They have now, they had two rough losses, right? It was the borderline C9 on Route 66, and then getting pretty getting kind of messed up on Anubis as well. So Rampaging Inferno got that sort of mental reset with the break, right? They came out, they looked incredibly strong, and now it feels like maybe the momentum of this match has started to shift a little bit in Rampaging Inferno's favor. I don't know yet. It is all going to come down to Rialto at the end of the day. This is Rampaging Inferno's favorite map, so they've got to like it, but Solar Flare picked it, so they also have to like it. I think both teams are feeling, very confident right now. My voice is starting to go.
Hey, I mean, that's how much we're giving our all when it comes to this match. I'm pretty sure the production team are just sitting there like, man, I would really love to go grab a cookie, watch, maybe force our artists to continue making these beautiful graphics for no other reason than we like to see them. Because look at this background. I don't know if we pointed this out already in the previous games. It is so mood setting. I just gotta say that.
It is nighttime in GitGud City, where only two teams remain, and only one can come out on top. It's fight night, I guess, is the vibe I get out of it.
Basically Fight Club, if you want to be able to kind of use that old reference. We're still waiting for these teams to kind of get set up as they get a little bit more prepared. I definitely respecting them kind of taking their time. I think you really need to plan out, talk to your coaches as much as possible. They're there to help you. I think as much as players can be a little stubborn against their coaches, when they are watching from an outside perspective, they can help you a lot more than you expect.
Yeah, it could help you out a lot. And here we go. We are in Rialto, map 6 of this series. Once again, Solar Flare with the opportunity to put it away. Rampaging Inferno, though, could bring us to a decisive map 7 if they can come out on top on their favorite escort map that Solar Flare brought them to. They say, we're going to beat you on your favorite map. That's basically what they're saying right now. And I gotta respect the confidence coming out from this team. Will it pay off for them?
Yep, you'll come to me on my favorite map, asking for a map win. Don't he break his legs. Thank you. I've been working on that since I was like 5 years old, I wanted to be a voice actor at one point. Now I can't speak English, so I think I dodged a bullet there. Either way, Rampaging Inferno, they are going back on what they're most comfortable on. And as much as I respect it, I think the only way this works is just absolute aggression against the double bubble.
Yeah, the double bubble coming out from Solar Flare is going to be tough to deal with. Pyro Dragon's going to be jumping in with so much aggression, buying so much space for his team, especially as Rampaging Inferno. They're kind of set up on the high ground here, which I don't fully understand. You're playing a very close range comp, but maybe you're playing for this. Pyro Dragon jumping up, instantly chunk down to half health.
Yep, that anti does slow them down. They have to use that immortality when nobody was shooting at them just from the fear of being dived on again. However, this bubble blocking them out, and that sun, absolutely beautiful, but they're not going to be able to get too much out of it. They're trying to force that high ground off of Rampaging Inferno so they can contest the point. We see them be able to take out Jane while the rest of the team are on top of that high ground, looking to get any poke as much as possible. However, Hybrid is just hiding down. They are looking to take that rotation directly to them. Solar Flare not even noticing because the D.Va is walking into them. Now with the rest of the team pushing in, it seems that they are going to be able to adapt to it, take out Tip, and move forward to help kind of take out Hybrid, who's being able to live for a little bit too long. Eventually, though, that hyper aggression is going to be the death of them and their own punishment.
I think Rampaging Inferno tried a little bit too hard to try and aggress on someone, get some picks, and ended up getting caught on the stairwell with an angry Cassidy, an angry Tracer, a very angry Winston, who now has Primal Rage available. And that is what eventually ended up giving them the loss. As now Solar Flare, they have the momentum, they have the ultimates, they're trying to push through to the end of point A.
A little bit unfortunate. They tried to blink to break it off, but they didn't have the ability. Now Hybrid dangerously low. Pillarman's looking for this Hind, possibly going behind them for this opportunity with the rest of Rampaging Inferno just moving forward, even throwing out that bomb just to be able to defend themselves. That Kree gets punished absolutely for showing themselves off that early.
Yeah, that's unfortunate from Cassidy. I'm not sure if maybe you forgot to reload before trying to do the flash fan, but you go in, you stun the Reaper, you don't get anything out of it. So Solar Flare gets stopped here at the end of point A, but they didn't use any ultimates, and they're gonna have just about everything except for the nano boost available in this fight. But again, Pulse, that hack saved them that fight on the Tracer. It turned the fight to their favor, and you have the EMP Blossom available once again.
They're now set up. We see this EMP getting prepared. However, Pillarman's own high and noon combined with this Graviton Surge is looking to be rude. It breaks down that mech, couldn't do any more, while that Shatter helps to only really take out 2. They use the EMP even though those supports are stuck on the high ground, so nobody's going to be able to follow up on it. It was a bit more out of desperation, maybe hesitance. Either way, Rampaging Inferno, they're not going to be stopping this push.
Pulse got a little bit too greedy there with the EMP, saw the support line onto high ground by himself. It's like, I am going to EMP these guys no matter how many times I have to use my translocator to get up to them. He eventually gets it off, but it isn't enough, as the teammates had already gone down at that point. However, Tiki Totem goes down to Pulse in the back. I think once again probably got hacked up and taken down. The Tracer's been having trouble dealing with the Sombra so far in this matchup, and that's going to give Solar Flare the advantage.
That was absolutely depressing. Hybrid tried to charge the little sneak attack, but got bashed by the Brigida, which absolutely stuns you. Now the rest of the team don't have a Reinhardt. Solar Flare, though, losing out onto that Zarya, so either way, they're basically going to be feeling fine, especially with Pyro Dragon slowly returning to the fight. Either somehow, unfortunately enough, not somehow, absolutely just planned. Solar Flare moving back in from this fight, using that pillar just to be able to kind of get those shots, bang, bang. That's just what they are, stabilizing the team.
Pillarman was just in the back, getting hard-pocketed by Froji, getting hard-pocketed by Barkley, and when you have an Ana and a Brigitte just filling you up with healing, nothing can kill you, pretty much. So Solar Flare, they do manage to pull out ahead in that fight, and now Tiki Totem looking for the stick! But luckily, oh wow, really? That was a very late eat from Dash. I'm not sure how that happened.
Ping difference, as I'd like to say. Either way, Solar Flare making up that difference, because with that pulse bomb being eaten, they just decide to win the fight, being able to move forward. The last person being on some point is going to be that Lucio, trying to do their best to stall out. However, just being so scattered is not working out in their favor.
No, it's not, as Solar Flare looking a little bit more together, a little bit more consistent right now. If Rampaging Inferno can get a touch on here, though. They have the ultimates to stop them right here.
They have more than the ultimates. They have the ability to getting those 2 picks before that EMP hits. Then the Tracer walks behind them, giving Skylar a little bit of a smooch, maybe a little love interest in this type of plot story. Either way, that is a minute and 30 seconds for them to have to push this Solar Flare. Well, they're doing a good job on holding.
They are doing a very good job, and this is like the optimal place for Rialto defense right now. There is so much ground that has to be covered, but I think Hybrid and Pulse maybe got in a little bit too far. Pulse down, Hybrid very low, but the Shatter gets nothing. Got blocked by, I think, Pyro Dragon Bubble.
Yep, they immediately move forward that Death Blossom wanting to make a difference, but once again, stunned before it can make any difference. Tick just doing what they do best, absolutely bopping off, using that Pulse Bomb to great effect combined with the Graviton Surge. Big ultimates for big players. Now they're going to be able to cap this, force it into 2 minutes and 20 seconds. It's a little bit of a time bank, but I mean, more than is better than none.
Yeah, absolutely. Solar Flare, they managed to get it past point B, which is one of the key parts of Rialto. Just being able to make sure you can get past that sort of high ground stranglehold that the other team always has on you. And now you get to push up as much as you possibly can on the point C. A nice purple on the Hybrid gets low early.
Yep, we are seeing them just immediately push forward. That sound barrier did absolute wonders when it came to defending them from anything. And that Tracer who wants to be able to blink in, it just makes the room for Pyro Dragon. Unfortunately enough, that hack into the window. They don't even get to use that Primal Rage. That's a little bit more unfortunate than I've ever seen one. Or that Pulse Bomb lands down on the Hybrid. They want to keep this fight alive even if that Tracer is dangerously low. The rest of Solar Flare, they're slowly going to be looking for pokes, but they're not going to be able to push him.
Pyro Dragon's gonna swap, Jane Wall's gonna swap. We get a bunch of swaps coming out from Solar Flare now as they're gonna try and match the Brawl. When we've seen the Brawl matchup, the Brawl mirror, it has never worked out well for Solar Flare. They just haven't been able to deal with Pulse, who has the EMP this time around. Can they change fate this time?
They managed to pop out a very nice EMP combined with this bomb, forcing them to play in one single angle, especially with that hack. Pyro Dragon is going to be feeling like a clown. However, well, more of the Diva as they're going to be taken out. It seems they weren't really scared of the pressure. Even that rematch kill, Skylar jumps into it solely to get that reset. 50 seconds to touch, and Solar Flare have given them the room to take this next fight.
Great stuff there from Solar Flare. They're able to withstand the EMP bomb combo for like the first time this entire series. That might allow them to finish the map.
I have no idea. We're just gonna have to see. Look at that draw coming in. The Shatter combination going up against. They're able to make a lot of room. And that's what I'm talking about. Hybrid has just been showing up on the Reinhardt. Though immediately gets one clip. Tick is wanting to take this, I guess, 1v6 or so, but gets punished. And they have 15 seconds to touch his payload. Mario Kart
Solar
music
Flare
starts.
has to hurry here to try and get back the time. Pillar Man, I think, goes on to the Doomfist to try and see if you can get yourself a touch. I don't know. They're still pretty far away. It's going to be up to Jane Wall, probably. The Doomfist is there, but it's going to go down.
Oh, that's not looking good. 5v6, they now have to walk in. That hack hitting out onto Pyro. Immortality's not going to be protecting them anymore. They did the best they could, but with that sound barrier, it's practically a small confirmation showing that they are ready to stop you. Even if you're contesting that payload because you don't want to do what Rampaging and 1nferno did on Route 66. Unfortunately, it's a little too late, just barely at that last meter. At least you set yourself up for a really good win condition. Either way, Solar or Flare, they're not going to be finishing this map out.
It was a solid attack from Solar Flare, but you're right. They couldn't finish it. Just 2 points in 86.5 meters, which means it all comes down to this attack. Either Rampaging and 1nferno are able to beat them and take us to a map 7, or Solar Flare will harden up on the defense and win GitGud North America Rookie Division right here, right now. Will they be able to do it? It is all going to come down to this Rampaging and 1nferno attack. And I'll tell you what, I wouldn't expect this team. I'm expecting only one composition to come out from these guys. There it is, the Reaper, the Sombra. The Winston is a little bit different, but it makes a lot of sense if you're assuming the other team's going to run an Orisa-based comp, which Solar Flare are doing. I think this is a great read of Rampaging and 1nferno.
My goodness, this is a good composition coming out from Solar Flare. I definitely love to see that big double shield combined with the spam. I think it's a really impressive composition going up against Rampaging and 1nferno, who look better and better as they've been playing this Shadow Dive, but when will their tricks grow old?
It might be here. Tiki Totem is on the Pharah right now, Pillarman on the Ashe, both of them very long-range DPS right now, who Blink and Pulse are going to have a lot of trouble touching.
My goodness, absolutely wonderful. Well, for one side more than anything, I'm not playing my favorites. We see that D.Va almost immediately get demeg. Pulse is still dangerously low. They have to just jump in, maybe use their resources as much as they can, because Jane got hacked for a little bit. They are being able to get a consistent amount of damage in, but backing up the moment they start getting low. Tick wants to be able to go in, maybe peel out, because they've lost Jane. They need someone to help, and Tick is still dangerous, as Swirl is no longer pocketing, got hacked and was falling down. Now Rampaging Inferno, they're feeling good as they're just looking to be able to push forward onto the map. Though this damage is absolutely impressive, and Whelp Solar Flare are going to be able to protect themselves for a little longer until Pyro gets hacked. Not going to be able to use their abilities to save themselves. It has to be the immortality that peels in. Now that point in a dangerous spot to be able to be captured. In Rampaging Inferno, though, dangerously low. They lose out. Pulse not going to be able to defend themselves, while Hybrid taking in so much damage. That window is just kind of the end, combined with that barrage. It's just too much to have to worry about. The Pharah is living free in the sky, rent-free, basically. And, well, they're going to secure that fight.
It is a secured fight indeed for Solar Flare, and now they're in a pretty advantageous position because they have so much space to just chunk in damage from Pillarman and Tiki Totem right now. This is the basic rock, paper, scissors of this composition. Can Pillarman and Tiki Totem get enough spam damage into Rampaging Inferno before they can close the distance and run over the Solar Flare front line? In this composition, in this position, with so much space to cover, the chances are on Solar Flare's side.
I definitely agree. We see this bongo being used extremely early because Pillarman's own bomb gets taken down. However, they are not being able to do anything, and, well, they're not really being able to contest. That's just a free capture and, I guess, a free bomb to build up.
Yeah, good play there from Rampaging Inferno. Nice pathing just to be able... If you just went straight across the courtyard, I'm convinced they lose that fight every single time. Because there's just so much open space for the Pharah to get value. Instead, you go through those little tunnels, you limit the amount of space that Solar Flare can take advantage of. And so Rampaging Inferno, they are continuing to push this cart forward.
My goodness, now this is where they're getting set up. They're wanting to use that primal, force them off the high ground where they are sitting passively. That EMP comes in, help to take out Pyro Dragon. While Pillarman is hacked, they are going to be able to freely walk around. That pressure is being put onto Fro. They've lost everybody in the mid-fight, unfortunately enough. Hybrid now needs to use their resources to try to escape with their life, but they want to still fight it, the entirety of Rampaging Inferno. But you don't really have your team there. They just get taken out by Tick.
And that was a much more expensive fight for Rampaging Inferno than it was for Solar Flare. You get a couple of comp swaps, which is fair. That then explains why you use so many ultimates there, but you don't get enough out of it that you should have. In Solar Flare, they have so many ultimates down to deal with, and crossing this bridge with the Gravitic Flux and the Ant Matrix is so difficult.
I definitely have to agree, it's coming somewhat of a struggle as they're trying, but Hybrid immediately just falls. Unfortunately, we're not going to be seeing them in the next Captain America movie, frozen in that ice. Now the rest of the side of Solar Flare really just kind of poking. They're trying to get any other stagger picks, especially that Echo and D.Va, who are poking themselves out a tiny bit, wanting to wait for Hybrid to charge in, who is now settled in. Look at that beautiful direct hit. One more, and that Mercy's gone, able to get those stickies, but Pulse is playing a very dangerous game, walking into this Pharah's sight, not really able to hit those shots, while the front line is going after this double shield. The Sigma not going to be able to do much, and they're looking to take out Private Dragon's dangerous low. However, the Barrage and Death Blossom seem to be used in ill vein, as nobody was there to really get hit by it. It was more of just an LOS ability. Combined with Link's own visor, they just continue pushing forward, pumping in that damage, breaking down that bongo, and now they're fully ignoring the shield. So they're not really getting much out of that. A real big panic, and now this payload is going to keep moving.
Payload keeps moving, and Rampaging Inferno, they're inching closer and closer. With these staggers, it's looking very likely that Rampaging Inferno are going to be able to hit point B here, give themselves about 3 minutes and 30 seconds to finish this map, get 86 more meters, and give themselves the opportunity to come back and take a map 7 victory. But they have to make it first. Solar Flare are making a bunch of swaps now. It's going to be the Brawl compositions going up against each other. But who's going to deal with Pulse and Tipcon? I don't know. Tiki Totem, maybe? It's a composition that's a lot less suitable to deal with the Echo.
I gotta say, they throw that copy bomb though behind them, placing down that remix is not really gonna do much. But the Shatter manages to hit that Diva Lucio, though Pyro is there to protect. Their shield is slowly being broken down. That Fire Strike doing so much damage. Now they're overstaying their welcome, but they've lost Pulse due to Pillar Man, so it's not really gonna be looking good. Even if that Res manages to kind of help out a little bit in hindsight, you only have 2 minutes to really try to bring this back, so at least they get the quick reset with no staggers.
Yeah,
never mind.
This is it. This is it now for Solar Flare. Rampaging Inferno gets one more good map win. That's it. This game is over. If you can hold on to this for 2 minutes and 20 more seconds, you are the GitGud champions. That's what it's come down to. And Solar Flare right now, they have 4 ultimates, almost 5 with Swirl Sparkly, about 70% to that beat. So good ultimates online for Solar Flare. Can you stretch this out over multiple fights?
Yep, look at that. Already some good damage in, especially combined with that visor. They just ignore that immortality, looking for who they can, eventually taking down Pyro and that mech. This is absolutely a beautiful opportunity to capture at this point. We see them immediately moving out, being able to pump in that damage hybrid, taking out any people left to stagger. This is going to be one big reset fight. They have to do their best to throw out these ultimates, or just get a pick as they walk out the doors. We see the first one's going to be Pyro Dragon looking to stall them. That bomb placed into the middle of them. The hack going onto the bot. The 2K being there. That Death Blossom not going to be able to get much as the Immortality is there to be able to protect them. And we see the rest of the team getting that Sound Barrier just to be able to try to peel in. We are going to be seeing that Shattered land down. Going to be able to take. However, Pillarman is going to be trading in on Sky while Blink is going to be taking Pillar. This is not looking good for Raging Inferno anymore as they are slowing and not being able to finish it off. The stall is great and Blink is gone. Now with a minute left on the clock, that big play, that's going to hurt their economy.
It's so gonna hurt their economy, and now the stagger onto Dash is perfect. That takes a lot more time off the clock here as you have to wait for Dash to come up. And with how much time it's going to take Solar Flare to get back here, this is probably last fight here for Raging Inferno. Their GitGud lives, the GitGud championship hangs in the balance right now. They have that EMP from Pulse, that key ultimate that's gotten them through so many trials and tribulations in this fight. Can it get them through one more and extend their GitGud lives by one more map?
It's now the big pressured moment. They're backing up solely so they can find out Pillarman. That's not something terrible because you managed to find Tick in the meantime. Now you have your own EMP. They want to use that window to slow you down, but you're going to ignore it. Popping out that visor to that
Did Shatter get canceled?
Combined, it did midway through as they tried to charge out. That window really picking up the staggers all behind them, and now they're pushing forward. Pillar made the biggest mistake. They tried to go up against Raging Inferno on their own map, and that EMP solidifies it. Team kill. And we're going to the last map of the series. I cannot believe it.
Wow. It is map 7 time in GitGud North America. I heard we had some speed runs in Europe. No such thing. As now, Rampaging Inferno from down 1-3 have come back to take us to a final. Trying to see what type of map it's going to be. Someone put it somewhere. It's going to be a hybrid map, actually, which means it's technically drawable.
Dividing, you shut your mouth right now. I don't think my
That's
heart
me
can
knocking
handle
on
that.
wood right now. That's me knocking on wood.
No, you need to go punch a tree right now. This is Minecraft. I want to see you, apologizing to the Buddha themselves because my heart. I mean, this was what we were hoping for. Map 7. You said
Map
it earlier.
7.
This is you. Solar Flare were not able to keep up with that push. Rampaging Inferno, they looked absolutely amazing. And maybe they have finally set this back into their favor. We have one more map, though. And this is where they're going to be set up. What do you feel these teams need to do to solidify? They've been playing Overwatch for over 3 hours.
Yeah, I mean, this is now where both teams have got to be depleted at this point. This is an extremely long series. They are extremely, they're tired. They are depleted. They have been playing Overwatch for longer than you should normally. The recommended amount of Overwatch per day, but you have to push through. You have to rally your team around whatever you have left, and go into this final hybrid map strong and alert, because I feel like both teams have shown kind of a lapse of judgment right now. So I think that the lapses in judgment that have kind of made them make mistakes. I think Pillarman got really in the back of Solar Flare at the end there on Reaper, couldn't get out, and that ended up being the pick that finally pushed through to the end.
Yep.
And I think that maybe that Reaper player is a little bit tired now, and maybe if it was just a first comp game of the day, they wouldn't have gone in that deep.
I definitely agree, but this is the last break we're gonna have, and I'm gonna let you guys know.
Are we breaking?
We are 100% breaking. The players want to break, so we're going to give them what they need to do. The poor broadcasters crying because they still have more matches tonight to kind of broadcast and entertain. So, if you're loving,
it's going to be a really fast break, though. It's going to be really fast.
Yeah, really fast. We promise, all right? So, stay tuned in because we need to see who's winning this out. We'll be right back with Get Good.
Focus, I can't even control it. You know your lips are golden, baby, get me high. Touching me like lightning, yeah, keeping it exciting. You know exactly what to do to blow my mind. You're from another planet. I've never felt like this. I don't know how I ever survived without it. I'm starry-eyed, got me upside down, spinning around you. Wanna taste the clouds, dance with the moon. Take a trip around your body. Boy, I love the way you got me. Starry-eyed, got me starry-eyed. This bed is out of space, just keep painting constellations. You cover me in glitter till I'm shining bright. I never wanna leave the sky. The way you made me feel alive. I was in the dark and baby, you're the light. Planet. I've never felt like this. I don't know how I ever survived without it. I'm starry-eyed, got me upside down, spinning around you. Wanna taste the clouds, dance with the
Running through the last of my thoughts, standing on the edge of my time. Everything I know will be gone in a minute, and that's alright. Running through the last of my thoughts, standing on the edge of my time. Everything I know will be gone in a minute, and that's alright. Alright, 'cause I'm free. I'm freer than I've ever been before. Yeah, baby, I'm free. I'm freer than I've ever been before. Alright, 'cause I'm free. I'm freer than I've ever been before. Yeah, baby, I'm free. I'm freer than I've ever been before. Running through the last of my thoughts, standing on the edge of my time. Everything I know will be gone in a minute, and that's alright. Running through the last of my thoughts, standing on the edge of my time. Everything I know will be gone in a minute, and that's alright. Alright, 'cause I'm free. I'm freer than I've ever been before. Yeah, baby, I'm free. I'm freer than I've ever been before. Alright, 'cause I'm free. I'm freer than I've ever been before.
Bring us back in. Hi everybody! Dividing like my father is gonna be right back as we just see him take a quick break. The players just immediately went in. They were not giving us any time just to kind of breathe or take a second. And we are going over to Blizzard World. So it's about to be insane. Look at this. This is so funny. This guy's walking back into the room. He's gonna be like, oh, we're in a map? Hey, welcome back, Dividing. Hey, we started. Hey, you just came back.
Ready for battle.
No, it's... Yep, absolutely funny, I gotta say. Perfect timing either way, because they just now picked their composition. In Blizzard World, we didn't get to talk about it beforehand, but let's take a second. Very weird map. It's going to see this Brawl Sombra defensive versus the just double bubble. We saw how this was going out, but quick, analyze. Let's go.
Older from Blank, which is a little bit out there. It's a little bit more of the mid to long range, which is good for them when they're playing from this high ground. So Solar Flare is going to be looking to try and contest them on the high ground right now, get themselves across and contest them here. But the early dive from Pyro Dragon is rebuffed.
What an absolute beautiful boop coming in from the D.Va, being able to knock Pyro Dragon off. However, they have decided to make that rotation. They want to be all the way back, look and be proactive. Already doing some good damage onto the side of Solar Flare as they're not being able to do much. Even that bubble gets immediately broken. Jane also gets their body entirely clipped. Though this hat gets broken, it's going to be taking a second. It's a slow brawl. Solar Flare are so scared to be moving in. They're getting hit with so much damage. It is very unfortunate. Though with this nano, that sets them up for Glory. The D.Va, they're being able to peel while the rest of the team is going for that flank. However, they are not really finding much until Timcon is the first one truly gone. Immortality only there to try to protect Skylar for a little bit, but eventually the rest of the team is going to collapse. They're just not able to deal with that pressure from Solar Flare. And, well, this first tick is going to turn into a full capture.
Yeah, Solar Flare, it really just comes down to when they're able to get a successful engagement, and seconds tries the charm for them, so 5 minutes on the clock as they open up the payload. Very good first attack from them. Rampaging Inferno, though, they are looking pretty strong ult-wise. Hybrid's gonna have the Shadow, and you're also gonna have the Amp Matrix and the Tactical Visor available.
Yep, now with this shot, we kind of canceled, not really. Solar Flare aren't gonna really be able to stop that, even though the Reinhardt midway wasn't able to fully drop it. Either way, Rampaging Inferno, they immediately want to stop that push, build up that EMP, and set themselves up.
Yeah, set themselves up here for a very, this is a pretty strong choke point that you have here, even though Solar Flare are right outside at spawn. You have a lot of high ground to potentially work with some natural cover with that wall, and you have that EMP from Pulse that comes out and gets 3.
Look at that, absolutely beautiful. Solar Flare not able to do anything against it as that bomb finishes them off. No longer will Solar Flare be able to walk out of spawn, I dare say.
They'll be able to walk out of spawn in about 10 or so seconds, because now they have all 6 ultimates available. Just gotta wait for Barkley to get that rally up, and that will be up momentarily. So, without the EMP bomb combo available, this is Solar Flare's point to lose.
They're already moving out, looking to do something with this Primal. However, it's going to be up to Blink to make up for losing out their Sombra and Reinhardt. They're putting that pressure onto Pyro, but immediately escaping. There's not much that they leave into their pocket, unfortunately enough. Rampaging Inferno are struggling to keep themselves alive, moving out, and then immediately being punished as the rest of the team not really going to be able to do much. Eventually, well, that bubble shoots to protect themselves, and that Baby D.Va is going back to the spawn room.
Baby D.Va back to the spawn room, and so is the rest of Rampaging Inferno. So like I said, Solar Flare, they go in, they get the win with just the support ultimates, which is actually huge, because now you have the grab to use in this next fight. You have Pulse Bomb to potentially combo with that. Now the High Noon from Pillar Man just puts so much pressure onto this brawl.
Yep, using that High Noon extremely early, manages to finish off Skylar, but they've lost out Pyro, one of the bigger players. However, we see Pillar being the man, the myth, the legend, being able to get that quick 2K, slow them down. Rampaging Inferno, they're just gonna have those respawns for a second. That payload really isn't moving, so I don't know how well that's kind of going in their favor.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it could have been, you could have had someone on the cart the whole time, and then you would have basically had point B at this point. But now you have to win one more fight against Rampaging Inferno with the Shatter. It doesn't get a ton, but Tiki Totem does go down.
And slow them down. Sound Barrier keeps up Hybrid, who was hit with the anti, and the hack slowing down Primo Dragon, not even going to be able to use that Primal Rage or get too much value off that Nano. It seems to not be enough, though, as Solar Flare just start walking in, ignoring basically any factor of this game. Hybrid's all alone in that front line, eventually gets that bomb as a peel, 1v1ing this break. They managed to just barely win it out, but look at that, you're going to get meleeed by the Zarya, stuck inside this small room. It was a trap. You've been baited as they now move in, and you just move out. The rest of the team aren't going to be able to do much. They do have this EMP with no ult to kind of set this up, or a tank line to help. They're more going to be preparing to how to reactively play with this. Now setting up, they're now jumping in, pop it. The moment the Reiner comes in and gets slept, immediately woken up, builds up that Death Blossom just to make sure that everybody's dead. Either way, that was unnecessary ability, and it's going to hurt them in the future, but they hold for now.
They do hold for now. While you don't have very many ultimates right now, Solar Flare are kind of depleted as well. The High Noon and the Pulse Bomb can do damage. So probably the two lesser impactful ultimates on Solar Flare's roster right now. So if Rampaging Inferno can hold on for long enough for Hybrid to get potentially a good shatter off, this could very easily snowball into a second point hold for Rampaging Inferno. But you have to get past this fight first. This is a big thing.
Oh my!
It's a 5-man
What a shatter!
Hybrid! What?
Landing down! My goodness, Hybrid is not ready to lose this title of being one of the best rookie main tanks, being able to hit that beautiful shatter. That's what they needed. They need time to build up their ults.
They need time to build up their ults. They didn't get it, though. That fight went so fast that you're still in the exact same situation, but worse, because you don't have shatter, and now Solar Flare have nano boost to add to their repertoire.
Yep, they're really just relying on using that nano to try to get as much as they can. They've gone knees to live, so they have to beat, but that is a almost C9! Just barely being able to hit it. That Pulse Bomb is looking to combo with the grab, but Tink gets absolutely punished for trying to play the game. now with this move going on to the Reaper. The Sound Barrier is going to keep them up. Pyro gets hacked, so they have to try to retreat with their own legs. But being in this last second fight, they are dying. Jane Wall gets taken out. Skylar, though, headshotted. Not going to be able to do much. The rest of the team on Solar Flare are still going to be alive. They can try to back out this, but it's no longer in their favor as the rest of the team are gone. The moment that they even try to touch that point, it gets contested. The Reaper is there. The Reinhardt being able to push forward. Hybrid eventually goes down, but the bomb is inside that bubble and eventually breaks it. Manages to take out Pyro with it. The Tracer being the last one on this point, aside from the Wrecking Ball trying to make anything happen. They're not really going to be able to get much as they slowly fall down, not only to tip, but to that EMP, which somehow misses a little bit because of payload LOS. And look at this. This is a win condition set. Solar Flare could not finish out on that second point.
They had so many opportunities to do so, but Rampaging Inferno, they hold strong when they need to the most, and now it all comes down to their attack. This is it, Intel. We've been here for over 3 hours watching these two teams trade blows, and it's going to come down to this final attack from Rampaging Inferno. If they can get it to just short of that second point, 1.110 meters, Rampaging Inferno will be our GitGud Season 8 Rookie Division Champions, and Solar Flare, if they can hold them, it's going to go to them. This is no longer drawable. This is ending right here and right now.
Oh my goodness, I just need a breath. I'm about to start hyperventilating. That was such
the tension is so high right now.
It is so high. One mistake causes everything in this game, as we saw. And look at this, Rampaging Inferno. They have perfected the way that they want to play this comp. Solar Flare have been struggling to adapt against it, and they're not being able to kind of bring it back. Now going up again, Brawl v Brawl. I've never seen a Brawl be able to full hold against another Brawl.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough here, as actually both teams using a Tracer right now, showing, never mind, blank, whatever. We see Rampaging Inferno going with the exact same thing they've been running all game. This is it. This is Rampaging Inferno's best comp, their most preferred comp, and this is what they're hoping is going to take them to a GitGud victory.
They're setting themselves up, rotating around that shrine, however, immediately being noticed. This is where the true fight begins. The moment that somebody gets hacked, Pulse is going to be looking to call out and force them to go. Though Pyro Dragon getting hit with an insane amount of damage does get that healing to be able to kind of keep up for a little bit longer. Our Hybrid's coming closer to that Shadow percentage. They're tying up, does get that stun for a tiny bit, and Immortality now officially broken. Skylar's being pressured out so much by the Tracer. However, Pyro Dragon is dangerously low. They're struggling, and eventually Pulse Blink, they're going to be the ones that found out early in this fight. The rest of Rampaging Inferno are not going to be able to do anything.
Good start for Solar Flare. Pillar Man, I'm sure, is playing back with his head on a swivel at all times. The second that Pulse uncloaks, the supports are screaming at him. Come back here, use your flashbang, get rid of the Sombra for us. It works out well for them the first time. As you look at the DPS ults for Solar Flare compared to Rampaging Inferno, there is a clear advantage here for Tiki Totem and Pillar Man compared to Blink and Pulse. Just shows that, at least for the first fight, they were more effective.
I definitely agree. We see them already moving out as Tip wants to build up that pulse bomb. The windows there kind of countered out by own Skylers, and they immediately move forward, wanting to take out Pyro, but being so low and kind of shattered, it's kind of mixed feelings. Unfortunately, though, it seems Hybrid's going to be taken out. They have to use that Sound Barrier just to keep themselves up from a possible comeback. Rampaging Inferno, they really had to use those two ults. Unfortunately, though, gets counterplayed.
Hybrid was way too low when he went for that Shatter. He gets a couple, but doesn't have enough health to be able to follow up on it effectively. And now, Rampaging Inferno with 2 minutes left on the clock. Probably two good fights to try and take point A. You're now coming up on those combos. The EMP from Pulse will probably be up this fight. That's what you need. That is... You can combo Blossom with that, you can combo Bomb with that. Either one has had massive success for this team.
We're already seeing them get prepared. They walk out, and no, Tick gets picked out first. They still have to Shatter to try to save this. They really tried to style in, man, Grand Finals. You get punished for that. You don't live, especially after that Blossom game.
No, absolutely not. I feel like there might have been a little bit of an overcommitment there from Rampaging Inferno, but I can't fault them for it. The tensions, the nerves are so high right now. You have to dump everything that you can into this point to make sure that you get it. And now with 4 minutes on the clock, it all comes down to this intel. Can Rampaging Inferno bring this over the finish line? Solar Flare, they have to hold now for 4 minutes. Jane Wall with the bomb, Pillarman and Froji Kizzy also very close to their ultimate for Solar Flare. Rampaging Inferno working with the Diva Bomb and the Ant Matrix right now.
Yeah, they're trying to force Solar Flare down. That stun does go in, but with the windows kind of peeling in, it's still somewhat of an even fight until Pillarman's able to set up for the high noon. Gets pushed back, manages to still fight too, but the Shatter unevens this fight absolutely immediately. Combined with that bomb, they set themselves up to immediately regroup any of those DPSs on the point, especially that Tracer and Baby Diva. Well, they're really not going to be able to contest that point very well.
Hybrid, where was this guy in the last 6 maps? He has come alive on Blizzard World, carrying his team through so many fights right now, absolutely willing Rampaging Inferno to a potential victory here. One more good fight one could be it, but their ult bank is depleted. Solar Flare going to be working with Pulse Bomb and Diva Bomb.
They throw that bomb out as you speak. Unfortunately, it really only focuses down that mech. You really wish you had someone else, but on the bright side, you at least let that Diva go back to the spawner room so they can reset much faster. Rampaging Inferno isn't going to have much on top of this high ground. Rather, they're staying into this fight to build up that ultimate charge. However, that Pulse Bomb, absolutely beautiful, finishes off too. Gets the third, stops this.
I mean, Solar Flare were winning the fight anyways, but that is the kind of play that really sucks the life out of a comms room. Rampaging Inferno now, they have to try and get back into this mentally because they have 2 minutes to take this home. Rampaging Inferno, they're going to have the EMP from Pulse this time around, but not really anything else. Skylar and Tibcon are kind of close to their ultimates, but you're playing into the Shadow from Pyro Dragon and also the Beat from Charles Barkley. That's going to be big. EMP versus Beat.
They're already pushing out. We're seeing Rampaging Inferno. They use the EMP combined with the Sound Barrier. They are now moving in, taking up Pyro Dragon, looking for this Baptiste who's staying onto the high ground, being able to live for much longer than we truly expected. Though Skylar being traded out, and now they have to push that payload. It seems that they are struggling to finish through all these pokes. The adrenaline is popping out, and they are not being able to do much against it. That was a massive EMP, and yet they weren't able to finish all the targets. Now with the Majority low and Hybrid gets hit with that Pulse Bomb, you can't even get value off of that hack. Now the rest of Rampaging Inferno have to reset.
And now Pulse, that EMP doesn't get the value that they were looking for, and this is what we were talking about Rampaging Inferno. The Sombra has gotten so much value for them, but they are overly reliant on it. They have trouble finding ways to win fights without getting values from the hacks and the EMPs, and that might bite them here, as I don't know if they're going to get another one.
That bomb's on top of the high ground, looking to peel them out. It seems they get punished for it. However, the Death Blossom's there in the middle of the manages to get that 3K. Absolutely beautiful. This is now a respawn fight. Can they get back fast enough or stall it to be able to get there? Pulse is coming close to the EMP while Hybrid still has that Shatter. We see them now moving in. They're looking to find out anybody who is trying to peek in, and it's that Tracer. Immediately found off. We see that Doomfist come in, wanting to make a difference. The Shatter's build pops down onto the Wrecking Ball. No Immortality is going to be able to save you. Now the rest of the team are collapsing underneath this ball. Can't even spin to win. It's not in their favor. The hack hits that Diva. They no longer have it, and the rest of their team falls down. Ladies and gentlemen, while this Tracer tries to touch, it is no longer helping them as the EMP finishes, and Rampaging Inferno, they take the win, 4-3.
And it is Blink! At the very end, we said Pulse's name so many times in this matchup. Blink, I've barely said their name at all, but they come up clutch without the EMP to get a massive 3-man Death Blossom to give Rampaging Inferno that final edge that they needed. A couple hours ago, they were down 3-1. We were thinking about how fast Solar Flare were going to be able to finish this, but instead it is Rampaging Inferno that bring it back across 3 maps and 7 maps total. This has been an insane series, and it has ended with Rampaging Inferno. It's not a reverse sweep. It's not a reverse sweep. I think Solar Flare. What was the exact? Solar Flare won map 1, so it's not a. Solar Flare won map 1. Rampaging Inferno won map 2, so it's not a reverse sweep.
Oh, I just can't believe that is how we end this series.
Look at that.
On the score, they were so close to finishing this out, but that Busan map, the mental reset, allowed them to be able to bring this back. And look at this, folks. Rampaging Inferno, they are your rookie NA division champions. They absolutely deserve it. They played their heart out.
Yeah, they absolutely did. Now, I could talk about this. I could talk about this series for hours, probably, but we can't do that. We've got to get things moving really quick because we've got another grand finals match coming up right after this. We're already 20 minutes late, so real quick, Intel,
20?
What is your player of the match here? Let's get that out of the way, and then we can sign out.
Absolutely, my player of the match is going to be Hybrid. That main tank led them to so many fights. Yes, that EMP was so valuable and Pulse was absolutely great, but I think Hybrid absolutely led their team to the victory.
Yeah, Hybrid popped off in that last map, but when I'm taking into account the entire series as a whole, I do have to give it the Pulse. Rampaging Inferno depended so much on their Sombra to open up opportunities and make plays for them, and Pulse was consistently able to do that throughout the entire series. Without such a good Sombra player, there's no way Rampaging Inferno come even close to winning this one.
Yep, however, this is it. We have basically finished everything when it comes to this match, but there is still more. I know, right? It's absolutely surprising. I feel bad for our producers because we're done with this match. Either way, we want to give absolute love to everybody tuning in and to the players, teams, coaches, everybody that was watching out. If you're interested in being dividing, our tags are down below. You can also go check on the GitGud Twitter who worked on this match, who are the amazing producers showing you every single scene, every every opportunity. Make sure you check them out. Hit that heart if you like GitGud, hit that bell. But either way, we'll see you next time on NA because we'll be back later on in the day with another GitGud match.
See you in a minute.